Welcome, welcome, welcome. Cowboy fans, Cowboy haters alike, I'm the G. I am the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. No countdown introduction again. Just getting right into it, especially for the people who watch these on the replay. So we are going to be discussing the absolute destruction of the Dallas Cowboys today. And I'm not proclaiming to be Nostradamus, but I pretty much told us about this thing with the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to dig into some very serious stats today. Because I'm telling you, there are things about this team that people don't want to be honest about. But I'm going to keep it 100% honest. I just keep telling you this stuff is what it is. People don't like it, but I'm going to point out some stuff today. I just tell you right now, if you don't like hearing the truth about the Dallas Cowboys and the players and the coaches, don't even bother today. Don't even bother today. Because I'm not one of these people to get in my feelings about this stuff. I'm just going to show you and tell you what happened, and it is what it is. The rest of it is what it is. You can love it, like it, or hate it. But I'm going to talk facts. Again, welcome for all of you who are coming in. Let's talk Cowboys. We talk facts. Let's talk facts. Well. I told us this in the pregame show. What's going on, Gabe? What's going on, Jared? Everybody else out there, Miss Matrix, what's going on? I told y'all this in the pregame show. It's amazing to me that even Mike McCarthy, in his postgame press conference, he talked about a formula. Some folks get mad when I say there's a Cooper Rush formula. You can get mad all you want to. There is a Cooper Rush formula. And Mike McCarthy talked about the formula. That if Cooper Rush is starting, you go into the game with a whole lot of ifs. This is what the Cooper Rush fans don't like. When you go into the game with Cooper Rush, you have to begin the game with stuff like this. Well, if the defense can hold Saquon Barkley to 64 yards again, if the defense can maybe get some turnovers, if the special teams can maybe make some special plays, and maybe if they can get 4 field goals, if they can get a Kevontae Turpin return, if it's all these ifs. Ifs everywhere with Cooper Rush. It's never about if Cooper Rush can just come out here on his own and lead this team to a victory. And I was listening to Brian Broaddus today, and I'm so glad because Brian Broaddus was actually saying so many things I've said on this channel, on these pre-games, post-games, all of this stuff. Brian Broaddus was blowing my mind today because he was saying a lot of the same things. I'm not proclaiming to be a football expert, but he is, in a sense. And what I'm showing and telling us is you actually don't have to be a football expert if you'll be honest with yourself and really be honest with what you're seeing. Purple Soul, what's going on? I am not going to talk bad about Cooper Rush. I'm going to talk truth about Cooper Rush. He's a backup quarterback. He's nothing more. And for folk who say he's elite, you can have your own opinion. The numbers don't show it. You cannot be an elite backup. You cannot be an elite career backup. If you're an elite backup, somebody says, hey, man, we got to get this guy a chance to start. I'm telling you, what we saw today is what all these scouts have seen for years. It's what I've been talking about for months. Cooper Rush has no velocity. The difference between Dak Prescott, I can't even believe I'm saying the difference because there's plenty of differences. What we don't understand is Dak Prescott actually sees the field 10 times better than Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush doesn't see the field the way Dak Prescott does. See, the Eagles did something that was smart today, and they were able to do it a lot more because CeeDee Lamb was not in the game. But I want y'all to understand something. Don't give Cooper Rush the excuse that CeeDee Lamb didn't play. You know why? Because Cooper Rush had CeeDee Lamb not only this year in the first meeting, and he looked worse, and they didn't do any better. CeeDee Lamb was also on the 2022 team when we were at full power, and Cooper Rush did absolutely nothing. I've told y'all, when the competition is not that good, Cooper Rush looks great. The better the competition, the more he declines. I told y'all this last week. Everybody's screaming about Cooper Rush against the Buccaneers. No, we're screaming about a half that Cooper Rush had with the Buccaneers. Nobody wants to talk about the second half. He looked pretty much like he looked today. Nobody wants to talk about the last 7 minutes of the Cincinnati Bengals game. Yeah, he looked pretty much like he looked today. We take these games like these Carolina Panthers games. We take these games like the first half of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, not giving the defense enough credit, even though I give Cooper Rush credit because Cooper Rush has been giving this defense credit. We're winning because of the defense. You're doggone right you're winning because of the defense. They're getting you turnovers. They're getting you short fields. They were doing these things against lesser competition. Blue Star, what's going on? Mark, what's going on? P-Funk, what's going on? Good to see you, Revelation. Jay Recruiter, Richard Villegas. What's going on? Reggie, Moses, Blue Star. I'm going to get to y'all comments in a moment. But it's not just Cooper Rush. Y'all remember all that talk Micah Parsons was doing? Micah Parsons is an absolutely great player. He's not generational. I don't care what anyone says. Micah Parsons is not generational. It is these games. Everyone indicts Dak Prescott. If Dak Prescott doesn't play, if Dak Prescott doesn't go out and have an absolute super game, everybody got an excuse of why he did it, and if he didn't do it, why he didn't do it. It's no one else's fault but Dak Prescott. And people say things like, Dak pads stats. Dak only does this against the weak teams. Now I'm going to hit you in the head again with nothing but truth. Because if Dak only wins against weak teams, then Mike McCarthy only wins against weak teams. And I keep telling us about Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is accumulating a whole bunch of stats, a whole bunch of sacks and pressures against terrible teams. But when it comes to teams like the Philadelphia Eagles today, when it comes to teams like the Cincinnati Bengals, when it comes to teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, teams that they don't even have to have elite tackles. If they just have good tackles, Micah Parsons disappears. And this is why I don't like to listen to Micah Parsons. He's a front runner. Where's the signature games? I'm not listening to Marlon Brando going all the way back to yesteryear with the Kansas City Chiefs. No, I want you, anybody, give me the signature game. The game that just jumps out of your mind, that you don't have to go back and do any research for. Give me that signature game. Give me the game where somebody said, man, Micah Parsons took over a game when it counted. Didn't I tell you what the MO is of Micah Parsons? Everyone says it. Down the stretch, when it counts. December, Micah Parsons is a no-show. Micah Parsons is a no-show. Where was he today? Now, you may think I'm just talking, but I'm just giving you the introduction. We digging in to the facts. And I'm going to show you everything I'm telling you. And the Cooper Rush thing again, it was not about CD Lamb. Cooper Rush was flat out throwing ducks. And I told you this even against Tampa Bay, and I've been saying it over and over and over. This dude has no velocity on the ball. You know another difference between Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush? You ever notice people say he has a quick release? He makes quick decisions? No, the decisions have already been made. If you take him off his primary receiver, it's over. He's not climbing. He's not going to climb the progression. He's not going to go, oh, he's covered. He's covered. He's open. That's not Cooper Rush. You want to know why he's leading the league 2.5 seconds per throw? Because the receiver, it's predetermined who he's throwing to. And CD Lamb helps him out a whole lot. CD Lamb help out anybody a whole lot. And I'm actually laughing. Michael Parsons told a bold-faced lie this week. Michael Parsons said that CD Lamb is one of the greatest to ever do it. He said he's watched CD Lamb get 1,000 yards with Cooper Rush. And he said 1,000 yards with Dak Prescott and 1,000 yards with Cooper Rush. Lie. CD Lamb has not got 1,000 yards with Cooper Rush. He has not. He has not got 1,000 yards with Cooper Rush. You know what I did? I went back and did the research. People don't realize that half of the yards that CD Lamb accumulated this season, he got those yards from Dak Prescott. In actuality, CD Lamb was below average, as in top 5 wide receivers. He was below average as in throws per catch or yards per catch. Why? Because of Cooper Rush. I actually went back and added up CD Lamb, not only from 2022, not only from 2023 and 2022, 2024. And then I think it was 2021 when Cooper Rush came in against the Minnesota Vikings and they beat the Minnesota Vikings. And that's when the mythology started. Do you realize with 3 seasons combined, and I actually gave him some yards that he probably didn't get. Do you know he still hasn't gotten 1,000 with CD Lamb? I told y'all, Micah Parsons, this is why I don't like the fact he talks too much. He's always trying to take a shot at Dak Prescott. He wants to be the leader of the team. Y'all can tell me anything you want to. He is not the leader of this team. I don't even necessarily consider him a leader of this team. I consider him more of a cheerleader of this team than a leader of this team. He does way too much talking, but when the rubber meets the road, when it's time to say, we got Cooper Rush playing, we about to get out of here and dominate these boys, he don't do it. You know that's what Philadelphia did? Philadelphia said, we got Kenny Pickett out here playing, y'all. We got Kenny Pickett playing. We can't make mistakes. No, we're going to take this game over. And they took it over. This dude, number 8, I don't know. Him and Cooper Rush had a connection today. He had a connection with Cooper Rush today because this dude was not giving he was taking no prisoners with Cooper Rush. I'm telling us today, what we saw is what all these other scouts, what all these other teams see. Every time Cooper Rush throws a ball past 10 yards, you ever notice? There's no velocity. He never puts it on a receiver. I mean, he never just puts it on him. It's like he's putting a touch on every pass he throws. He puts a touch on it. He gives the defensive backs time to make plays on the ball. I told y'all, you're not going to see what Jonathan Mingo is about until Cooper Rush is no longer the quarterback. I told y'all, Jonathan Mingo, wide open. I'm going to let you hear. I'm going to see if we can get the recording. I listened to it today on my way home. I was laughing at Mike McCarthy. He said the wind got the wind? The wind got up under the pass. I didn't hear anybody talking about the wind. And I'm sorry, Cooper Rush isn't throwing that high. Cooper Rush isn't throwing that high to where the wind is going to get any pass that he throws. I'm going to read some of your comments in this introduction, and then we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. We're going to go to the analytics on this. Because I'm telling you, man, I don't have to make this stuff up. People don't like when you speak truth. I don't have to make this stuff up. Everything I told you and I've been telling you is absolutely true. Cooper Rush is a backup quarterback. And I'm laughing at folks talking about, man, Cooper Rush, he may have played himself out of Dallas. Yeah, he may have played himself out of Dallas. But we better not dare say he played his way out of Dallas because he's an elite backup quarterback. This is what the Dak haters say. And it's the only reason why they're saying it. Just like these players like Michael Parsons, you thought you were going to the playoffs with that today. I told y'all what they do is not sustainable against good teams because it comes a time when you get to the playoffs, it's no more gimmicks. It's no more ifs. It's no more ands. It's no more buts. You either going to line up against that team and you're going to be better than that team, or you're going to get your butt bounced out of the playoffs. And that is what was going to happen if they made it. You thought it was bad last year? They done blew the Cowboys out of that playoffs. Brian Broader said the same thing I said today. I'm so glad someone is saying it who someone gives some credibility to, because I'm just a YouTuber. Somebody told me I'm nobody. But Brian Broader said the same thing today. Mike McCarthy is a problem. You have a 3rd and 1. The game, it's a 3rd and 1. The game is still intact. Oh, hold on a second. You're not going to get the first down with Rico Dowdle. Nah, that's too easy for Mike. That's too easy. We're gonna make it look real hard. So we're going for a go route up the left sideline to Jonathan Mingo on a 3rd and 1. You know what? Jonathan Mingo did what he was supposed to do. He got open. He got separation. And he sailed the ball right over his head. It is insane to me, the confidence that some of these people had in Cooper Rush. I'm sorry, it's not about Cooper Rush. He's a backup quarterback. I don't care if he has a whole bunch of weapons. He had weapons when they got beat by the Philadelphia Eagles in 2022. See, we can't blame it on the weapons. He had the weapons in 2022. We had nowhere near the injuries. He had a great team, because everyone says you can't have it both ways. No, in 2022, Dak Prescott had a great team around him. Well, didn't Cooper Rush too? And the Eagles continue to reveal who Cooper Rush is. Do y'all know what Dak Prescott? We've actually owned the Philadelphia Eagles with the same teams that Cooper Rush has played with, because in 2022, he didn't have the injuries. Dak Prescott has owned the Philadelphia Eagles. And they said something today that was mind-blowing to me, that this season is the largest deficit that the Eagles have beaten the Cowboys historically. This is the most they've beaten the Cowboys by historically. Guess who was the quarterback both times? Guess who the quarterback was? Even when you go back to 22, guess who the quarterback was when they beat us like a drum? Guess who the quarterback was who turned the ball over this game, turned the ball over in the first game this season, and turned the ball over, because you can say it's CeeDee Lamb, but he had CeeDee Lamb in the first game. He had CeeDee Lamb in the game in 2022 when everybody was talking all crazy about him then. And the same thing happened. You know why? Because I am telling y'all, the scouts are seeing this, and Brian Broaddus is a scout. Brian Broaddus used to be a scout. He helped out with the scouting department, player evaluations, suggesting teams what players to get. Brian Broaddus has been around, and he said it. The same thing, verbatim. Hadn't even heard him say it until today. Cooper Rush has no velocity. No velocity when he throws. Absolutely none. I don't care if the wide receivers are open. He'll let the defensive back get up under the ball. The only way Cooper Rush against the good teams, the only way he completes passes, you better have receivers schemed wide open. And Mike McCarthy did some of that today, but he couldn't do it, because what people don't understand, the strength of the Philadelphia Eagles secondary, their cornerbacks are good. Their safeties are off the chain. Their safeties are the ones who are getting all the interceptions. Their safeties are off the chain. And they're not playing all that floating the ball out there stuff. See, we've been playing these defenses that have been below average, and they've been making Cooper Rush look above average. Philadelphia, didn't I tell y'all this yesterday? Well, I told y'all this on Friday. Not happening with Philly. Was not happening. Was not happening. They were not playing this nonsense that the Cowboys have been doing, both offensively and defensively. I told y'all, we're not a bad team, but we're going to have to accept the facts. We're not good. We're not good. We got a long ways to go. And not only that, we need to learn how to play as a team. We got to stop letting the man who's wanting to be the leader on the defense, somebody's got to tell him, shut your mouth, stop taking shots at your doggone starting quarterback, stop throwing stones when your house is made of glass, do less talking, and do more doing on the field. But nobody's going to tell him that. I wish Dak Prescott would, because Dak's paid now. Somebody's got to come to practice this year and tell Michael Parsons shut his mouth. Shut up. Do it on the field. Do it against good teams. Shut up. Do it on the field. He does way too much talking and not enough doing. Let me go to some of your comments, and then I'm gonna go to the breakdown of this game. The breakdown of this game, I'm sorry, it is the breakdown of this game, it is absolutely astounding when you look at it. It is astounding when you look at it. And there is no getting around it. A lot of these people, they want to make up every excuse. Nope, I'm not giving you none. I'm not giving you none, because this team had been doing a whole lot of talking. And this fan base, a whole lot of talking, blah, blah, blah. No. You get no excuses. Jared, what's going on? Cooper Rush talk finally has to die. It's not going to die. This Cooper Rush fan base hates Dak so much, it's not going to die. They'll make every excuse for him today. There was no excuses. Absolutely none. Cooper Rush is a backup quarterback. Miss Matrix says this is what we've come to. Miss Matrix, we got what we needed. We got a wake-up call. We got a wake-up call today. We did. See, we were beating teams. We're talking about these teams we're beating. But the reality is these teams we were beating, where the Buccaneers are good offensively, the Buccaneers lack some things defensively. And where we were able to exploit them in the first half, they caught up with us in the second half, but our defense, I don't think we understand some of the things our defense has done or our special teams has done that has allowed us to win some games. Because some people say we've lost some games we probably should have won. We won some games we probably should have lost. Didn't I tell you? How you win them is how you lose them. If you're winning a bunch of close games, you're going to lose some close games. You know who you are when you go out and you start dominating teams. That's when you know, okay, we've arrived. Because we're dominating teams. And we're not just dominating okay teams. We're dominating good teams. Good teams. Jared says this was a disgrace. He said Rush was god awful, threw the ball too much, was careless, and just was straight garbage. Y'all might not remember something I said on Friday. I told y'all, if Cooper Rush throws the ball 25 times, you might not remember, but I said this. If he throws the ball 25 times, it's a blowout. I said it. Because I know if we throw the ball 25 times, that means that Mike McCarthy decided he was going to go out and throw the ball. Okay? You think that's going to work? It's not going to work it's not going to work with good teams. I'm telling y'all, Philadelphia showed us something today. Willie T, I'm wondering if he's going to come on tonight. What's going on, Gabe? I'm wondering if Willie T going to come on tonight because Willie T said I'm an undercover Philadelphia Eagle fan. I'm not. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. Philadelphia's a good team. Did y'all realize the third string quarterback came in on us? The third string quarterback came in and threw, if I'm not mistaken, not one touchdown, but two? I told y'all what I was worried about. Anybody not named Bland, a receiver on anybody other than Bland, I was worried. And even Bland, he still gets caught on. I told you before. Bland still gets caught on. Every cornerback is going to get caught on. Bland can win some of those battles. But this kid named Booth, straight cooked. Straight cooked. Straight cooked. I'm not necessarily disappointed, Jared, because I knew what we were. I knew what we were, so I wasn't necessarily disappointed. Blue Star said, just the man I want to see. Cooper Rush better than Dak, they said. Exactly, Blue Star. Exactly. Mark, 41-7. The pick six in the game, that pick six was atrocious. It was atrocious. And Cooper Rush, if you just look at the stats, he's not an accurate quarterback. That's the part people do not understand. He's not in the same ballpark with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is actually a very accurate quarterback. What gets Dak Prescott in trouble is when Dak starts trying to force the ball to CeeDee Lamb. That's what gets Dak in trouble. But Cooper Rush, he is what he is. He's a backup quarterback. Yeah, Purple Soul, it was actually a bad watch. It just unfolded from the very beginning. And actually, in the very beginning, it was crazy to me because I'm thinking Kenny Pickett came out and went 0 for 3, and I was kind of like, they got Kenny Pickett's number. And then he only came out and then went 8 and 11. 8 for 11. It was crazy. Oh, yeah, Miss Matrix, yes, that's exactly why we were flexed out. It was terrible. It was terrible. And Mike McCarthy, per his usual, I'm telling y'all, I know we're saying that Mike McCarthy's probably coming back, but I'm telling you something about Mike McCarthy. He has poor situational football IQ. It wasn't the game to go for it all on a 3rd and 1. Unless you got 2 plays in your pocket and say, hey, we're going for it on 4th down anyway. Let's take a shot. If I'm going for it on 4th down anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'll take that shot. It was terrible. It was terrible. Gabe said a lot of football to unpack today. Professor D, do your thing. Tell it like it is, my brother. Hey, I'm just going to tell the truth, man. That's all I can do. It was crazy. It's just crazy what we saw today. Elite. Yeah. I'm telling you, man. People say things about Cooper Rush, and it's not his fault. It's their fault. Cooper Rush is not good as they say he is. You know what he is? He's the anti-Dak. He's the Dak weapon. He's who they use against Dak because they don't like him. I'm telling you, we're the only team I know. Do y'all see how the Eagles look today without Jalen Hurts? Do you think anybody is saying, hey, man, let's keep Kenny Pickett out there? Hey, man, we overpaid for Jalen Hurts. Hey, man, Kenny Pickett is better than Jalen Hurts. Nope, nobody's saying that. And if I'm not mistaken, Kenny Pickett was picked in the 1st round by the Pittsburgh Steelers. To everyone's surprise. But didn't I tell you yesterday? Or Friday, I'm sorry, I told you he's better than Cooper Rush. Kenny Pickett looked different. And even the 3rd-string quarterback, he looked different. That back shoulder throw to A.J. Brown in the end zone, that was crazy work. That was crazy work by a 3rd-string quarterback. It was. Gee, look up the definition of buffoon, and all they had was a picture of Jerry Stephen Jones' face green smile. Man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. I was the one who said Rush was an elite backup. You're right, I was so wrong. Got to eat by crow. Hey, man, you can have the opinion. But you know what? I'm gonna still give you a break, Jared, because I think sometimes we say stuff because we don't want people to think we don't like Cooper Rush. And so we might give him a little bit more than what we should. It happens. I'm not tripping. I just know what he is. Because I'm not looking at just the box scores. I'm looking at how he throws the ball. He's a liability past 10 yards, especially when you got those good defenses out there. I told you, Jay Recruiter, I told you. We're not going to know what Jonathan Mingo is. Please, Dallas Cowboy fan base, do not pass judgment on Jonathan Mingo until Dak Prescott gets back. Please don't pass judgment on Jonathan Mingo. I'm not saying Jonathan Mingo is worth a 4th-round draft pick, but we're not going to know as long as Cooper Rush is the quarterback. We're not going to know this. We're just not going to know it. Richard, no, he couldn't do it because it was too much for him. Reggie Moses, Cooper Rush can't play for any other team except for Dallas. I agree with you. And I don't even know if Jerry's going to bring him back. I don't know if he's going to bring him back. I don't. Cooper Rush was seeing ghosts all day. I hope Jerry gets Dak the help he needs to be successful next season. I think he is. I got a strange feeling he is. I told us a Cooper Rush type quarterback is not sustainable. He's not sustainable when it comes up against the good teams. Dak has beaten this Philadelphia Eagle team at full power. Dak has actually beaten them at full power. with Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott has beat this team. They had chances, but offensive rush can't do it. Nope, they can't. See, and that's why all this talk is crazy to me. All this confidence they had in Cooper Rush. It's crazy. And I don't understand where it could be. And I understand what it is. These teams, they do this because it's not like they can sit back and tell the truth and say, hey, Cooper Rush isn't that good. I mean, they can't say stuff like Cooper Rush is just a backup. They actually have to show ultimate confidence in him. I understand it. But if they do, it's just a lie. It's just a lie. After 2 interceptions, that was it. Eagles was going on 24 points and killed it. And you know what? And let's not give this defense any breaks. Let's not give this defense any breaks. Because Micah Parsons has been one of these people who has been doing all the talking, has been taking all the shots at Dak Prescott. He's been doing all the talking. Oh, it's possible. We can do this and we can do that. Where was he today? Wait till I show you his box score. What does CeeDee Lamb have to do with him? Yeah, wait till we see his box score. Because his box score is absolutely atrocious. But it's the typical Micah Parsons box score against good teams with good tackles. It's the typical, and people can tell me anything they want to. Oh, he got held every play. I bet you every defensive end who's good can tell you they got held every play. So we actually think that Micah Parsons is the only one they're missing these calls on. Stop it. Stop it. Richard, you know what? Lance actually should have played the whole game. Now, folks say I said that because I'm hating on Cooper Rush. No. He actually gave the Dallas Cowboys the best chance to win. Trey Lance should have played this whole game. There should have been no Cooper Rush. And they had the excuse they needed. No CeeDee Lamb. Okay, no CeeDee Lamb. Let Trey Lance do it. Because what you'll miss in CeeDee Lamb, you'll make up for Trey Lance with his feet. I'm telling y'all, even those last 2 minutes, y'all notice how Trey Lance looked? I'm sorry. Trey Lance is running at a different speed than everybody on the field. Every time I see Trey Lance hit the field, I'm thinking, wait a minute, this dude's sense of urgency, the way he can get away, the way he can scramble is different. I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to disrespect Jalen Hurts and say that Trey Lance could be as good as Jalen Hurts on the Eagles team. But I'm going to tell you this. Trey Lance fits perfectly with a Philadelphia Eagle type of team. I bet you Trey Lance could win with that team. I bet you he could win with that team. Unequivocally, Trey Lance could win with a team like that because Trey Lance got wheels. He got wheels like Hurts. I bet you he could do that tush-push stuff. I bet you he could do the intermediate, and he definitely can go deep. That's the one thing we know. He can go deep. I think Trey Lance can win with a team like that, and I think teams need to be considering if, you know what, this dude, Trey Lance, we might could do something with him. I don't understand it either, Purple Soul. I got a strange feeling, though. I got a strange feeling. After what we saw from Cooper Rush today, I got a strange feeling Trey Lance will start the whole game. You stole my thunder, Jared Thomas, but we're going to look at it anyway. He had 2 tackles. That is typical. That's typical Micah Parsons in the big games. That's him in the big games. That is his MO. He do all this talking every time he plays against a Carolina Panther team. He get 3, 4, say, oh, and then these Dallas Cowboy beat writers. Ever since Micah Parsons got back, fill in the blanks. Just fill in the blanks. Whatever you want to say, fill in the blank. This is how better the team is when Micah Parsons got back. Okay, he was in there today. You know how you nullify Booth? You know how you nullify Booth getting picked on? Micah Parsons, go get the quarterback. Just go get the quarterback. Go get Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett ain't got no wheels. Go get Kenny Pickett. He couldn't go get Kenny Pickett. Yeah, Michael H., I saw him in the preseason. He had a really bad game in the preseason. But even from what I saw in the preseason, you know what? I would still take what I saw from Trey Lance in the preseason. I would still take that. If we would have gave Trey Lance, and this is my question, Michael H., what if we would have gave Trey Lance the same opportunity we gave Cooper Rush? Jerry Jones said something on the radio show this week. Jerry Jones said, what you're seeing from Cooper Rush is the result of him getting reps. Jerry Jones said that. And Jerry Jones said, and any quarterback that gets reps, they get better and better and better. What if we gave Trey Lance? What if we would have gave Trey Lance 3-4 games? What would he look like by now? I just got a strange feeling he looked better than Cooper Rush because of his intangibles. I give Cooper Rush this credit. Cooper Rush is a student of the game. I could see Cooper Rush being a coach too in this league. I could. I could see Cooper Rush being an offensive coordinator. I don't know. I know Dak can be one because we've seen Dak call plays for Will Grier. And this is probably why they didn't let him do it again in the preseason, because he showed up Mike McCarthy. I think because Cooper Rush is a student of the game, he could probably be a coach in this league, an OC in this league. It wouldn't surprise me if he became an OC. But the problem with Cooper Rush, he don't have the intangibles physically. Cooper Rush doesn't have intangible physical attributes. And if you look at a lot of quarterbacks actually have the intangible attributes. When you talk about said quarterbacks, there's always something about them that someone says, okay, Patrick Mahomes, man, Stu, great thrower of the football. Great thrower of the football. I call him the smartest running quarterback in the league. Josh Allen, absolute bulldozer of a quarterback. Big, strapping, bale and hay type of white boy. Like he worked on the farm back in the day. You don't want to see him coming if he's running at you. I mean, Lamar Jackson, the best runner in the league. Video game moves. I mean, you could go down the line on all these quarterbacks. I mean, Joe Shiesty. I mean, what else can you say? Another great thrower of the football. And what I think Joe Shiesty does better than everyone I'm seeing right now, it's his anticipation when he throws the ball. Man, I'm telling you, this dude is throwing the ball before receivers even turn around. And I mean, he's throwing it in the perfect spot. I mean, the intangibles. Dak Prescott. People talk about the intangibles of Dak Prescott. His pre-snap reads. How he sees the field. How Dak, up until this year, we saw it last year, how Dak can escape from the pocket. How Dak can extend plays. People say this a lot about Dak Prescott. Intangibles. He's great against the blitz. He's great in 2-minute offense. Y'all notice they don't do hardly any of the 2-minute stuff with Cooper Rush? They don't really do any of that stuff because he doesn't have the intangibles to do it. So when you're talking about Cooper Rush, while I believe he's a student of the game, I think he knows what's going on. But what are the intangibles that help him do it? Okay, can he scramble? No. Can he run? No. Does he have a strong arm? No. Does he throw with velocity? No. Can he throw deep? No. What are the intangibles? What are they? Because if your intangible is the fact that you're a student of the game, but you have nothing that can translate it against the good teams, then you are what you are. You're a backup quarterback who will probably go on to be a good to great offensive coordinator in this game. That's why he's a backup. And when you look at a lot of backups, you notice what happens to them? They don't really have a lot of intangibles. And then if they have some intangibles, how do those intangibles measure up against the starting quarterback intangibles? This was one of the problems with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is better than Cooper Rush. He's got more velocity. He can throw the deep ball better than Cooper Rush. But are those his true intangibles when I compare him to even the quarterback that's in front of him now, Jalen Hurts? Y'all notice what they did with Kenny Pickett today? They don't really do with Jalen Hurts. They were going down the field. They were going down the field. But with Jalen Hurts, guess what? They don't have to do that as much because Jalen Hurts, while he can throw the ball, he's a dual threat. His intangibles when it comes to Jalen Hurts is what? It's not his throwing of the ball, but it's his running of the ball. Jalen Hurts will absolutely kill you with the run. He'll kill you. He can run the ball too. He's a very strong kid. He can run the ball. He can run around you. He can throw on the run. He can make some throws. He's good enough throwing, and he's good enough running. He's got intangibles. Jalen Hurts' intangibles are better than Kenny Pickett's. That's why he's the starter. Jalen Hurts, I would take Jalen Hurts in some situations where people probably wouldn't take him. Because to me, Jalen Hurts is the exact kind of quarterback that you want in these doggone playoffs. You want a quarterback that when the run ain't working, he can get the run to working. Because now they got to stop him. You stop the run, he can still throw to A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. He can do Jalen Hurts can do enough, but his intangibles is his running. And I'm saying all that Cooper Rush, the problem with Cooper Rush, y'all, he doesn't have the intangibles. It's not his fault. A man can only do what a man can do. He can only do what he's born with. He can't do more than what he's capable of. There may be times he can exceed expectations, but a person who don't have it, they can't do it consistently. This is what we're seeing with Cooper Rush. He's the if the game plan is perfect, if you scheme the receivers open perfectly, if the defense isn't, if it's always the ifs. You can't sustain that. If you have to come in with a lot of ifs, then when the ifs don't happen, you're getting beat. We're getting beat. Mills said, I told you Cooper Rush would lose the game today and we wouldn't want to run the ball. And I said if Mike McCarthy, if Cooper Rush throws the ball more than 25 times, it's a blowout. He threw it 28 times. Blowout. It was a blowout. Mike McCarthy got impatient. And we have to understand, and let's kind of look at some of the box score stuff. I'll get to some more comments in a moment. Let's look at some of the box score stuff. One thing I've learned about Mike McCarthy has a tendency to get a little bit antsy. And when he gets, what really makes him antsy is when the team gets behind by 7 points. That's all it takes for him. He gets nervous at 3. You go up 7-10, Mike McCarthy turns that play sheet over. Now he gonna start playing like he got Aaron Rodgers or Dak Prescott back there. You think about the first quarter of this game. I was actually very optimistic in the first quarter. I was like, man, the Cowboys, I said, man, the Cowboys are looking pretty good in this game. I really thought they were looking pretty good. It was 7-7. But the problem is once the Philadelphia Eagles started scoring more, and I think, let me go to the play-by-play here. Got to be careful. I don't want that on the screen. They'll copyright you just for that part. So the Cowboys struck first. They got the first touchdown, 15-play drive, and they took 6:05 off the clock. Wait a minute, hold on a second. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Touchdown was Okay, the first touchdown was the pick six. I'm sorry. It was the pick six. The first touchdown was the pick six. But the Cowboys, I give them credit. They came back with a 15-play drive, and they took 6 minutes off the clock. And when they did that drive, I said, okay, the Cowboys have a good chance of winning this game. If they can just continue to keep this game close. And let's look at this 15-yard drive. So within this 15-yard drive, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it was a very good balance of pass and run. 7 runs, 8 passes. That was a very good drive for the Dallas Cowboys. And after I saw that first drive, I was kind of like, hey, man, I mean, the Cowboys looked really good on that. They came out, they held the Philadelphia Eagles to a punt. Then the Cowboys got it. And then I give them credit. They tried to run the ball. They got one shotgun, had one incompletion to Cavante Turpin. They ran the ball. They ran it again. I give him credit. He stuck with the run on that. They had another. They held the Eagles again. The defense was doing their part. They did this the first time they played the Eagles too. And I was concerned because I'm like, okay, they did this the first time. They were able to hold them all the way to the half, and then the floodgates broke open. But unfortunately, the floodgates broke open in this game kind of in the second quarter. So the Cowboys, they had another, and you'll look here again, they had 1, 2, 3. So they had three runs in this one, and 3 runs, 4 passes. So they were still trying to stay balanced. But this is when things, again, they start to fall apart, because the Eagles turn around and get a touchdown. That makes the game 14-7. Then things really begin to fall apart because Ferguson fumbles the ball. That gives the Philadelphia Eagles, and I thought the Dallas Cowboys made a very good stance on that one because they held them to 3 points. So 17-7. But then we come back out again. Now, look at this drive. This is when Mike McCarthy begins to get antsy. Look at this. Incomplete pass, 5-yard pass, 7-yard pass, incomplete pass, 4-yard pass, and interception. This is Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, he gets antsy. I think he should have stayed patient right here. I don't care how much time is left on the clock. You have got to understand you have Cooper Rush in this thing. You got to keep this close to the vest, because if you let this game get away from you, and it was already by this time, I kind of figured they were already at the point of no return. I already thought they were at the point of no return at 17-7. But lo and behold, they let the Philadelphia Eagles come right back out here and turn this interception into a touchdown. Turn it into a touchdown. And that pass to Devontae Smith, man, I give Kenny Pickett all the credit in the world. I mean, great throw. Just a great, great throw. And I give the Eagles credit. I give Kellen Moore a lot of credit too, because they did exactly what they did the first time they played them, and Kellen Moore deserves a lot of credit for this. Kellen Moore realized that this kid Booth was a liability. Now, I want y'all to understand something about this kid Booth. If I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys gave up some kind of draft pick or trade or something for this kid Booth. Booth is someone who played with Mike Zimmer in Minnesota. So Booth is a Mike Zimmer, Mike McCarthy player. So they got to take responsibility for him because he was a liability today. He really was. Maybe he needs more reps, whatever the case may be. But I can tell you this, Philadelphia gave him all the reps that he could handle today. And so by this time right here, this game is already done. The game was actually done. The game was actually done by the first half. The Philadelphia Eagles go in 24-7. I knew then the Cowboys were done. And one of the reasons why I knew the Cowboys were done is because if you look at last week, guess how many points they scored in the third and the fourth quarter? They scored 3 points in the third quarter against the Buccaneers, and they scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. So if they went in at halftime and they're down 24-7, I pretty much knew then that the game was pretty much over. It was over. They came out in the third quarter. They made it 27-7. There's just pretty much nothing they can do. Then they make it, 34-7. Cowboys have a fumble. They get a touchdown. I mean, it's pretty much all she wrote. 41-7. 41-7. Terrible, terrible day. Terrible day. And I'm telling y'all guys, this is how we're going to know when we've made it. When you can make turnovers and your defense can still keep you in games, you know you're on to something. And this is why I say our defense, as much as Mike Zimmer has been doing, Mike Zimmer, one, he just doesn't have all the players that he needs. But at the same time, it's not just the injuries. Even without the injuries, we are not one of these teams yet. We need some more help on this team. We really do. We need some more help on this team. I want to dig into some of the details on this thing. Cooper Rush, 28 times in this game was too much for Cooper Rush to throw. That's just me. I just think it was too many. I just think they should have went with a power run game. I just think they should have been figuring out ways to run the ball totally this game. Whatever they could do, they should have been manufacturing the run, more runs with Kevontae Turpin. I don't care what you have to do. It should have been more and more runs. I mean, he was 15-28. 15-28, 147. It beat his 42 yards from the last game. He was 1 touchdown for 2 interceptions. 53.6 completion ratio, man. Yards per attempt, 5.3. Who is it? Greg Olsen? He kept saying it. The same thing Troy Aikman said when he watched Cooper Rush play against the Cincinnati Bengals that night. I think it was that night. But he kept saying, unless they go down the field, they can't beat anybody. It's not sustainable. The short pass game is not sustainable. And so Cooper Rush, when they let him go long, because he has no velocity on the ball, the better secondary players, they're either going to knock it down or pick it off. It's the bottom line. And so 15-28 today, 147. I mean, to me, it's just the same thing over and over again. At the end of the day, he's just a backup quarterback. I mean, there's nothing I can say bad about him. He's just a backup quarterback. He's been a career backup. That's not saying anything bad. That's telling the truth. He's a career backup. Nothing more, nothing less. People have to stop putting more on this man than what he is. Because then if you do that, then people have to come along and rip his game to pieces. We don't have to move the goalpost with him. He's backup quarterback. He's done what he's supposed to do. Cooper Rush is what, 4-4? What do you typically want a backup quarterback to do? Can he get you 500? If you're going to be out half the season, can he win half the games? If he can win half the games, whoop-de-doo, yes, hallelujah. If he can win one extra game over 500, yes. Kenny Pickett and the other backup quarterback, what was his name today? McKee. Do y'all know Kenny Pickett and McKee did exactly what they were supposed to do? Kenny Pickett was 10 for 15, 143. You'd have thought he was 20 for 25 and 300 yards. Nope. He wasn't. He was 10 for 15, 143 yards, 1 touchdown, 66% completion ratio, 119 rating, yards per attempt, 9.5, and that's because he went down the field quite a few times. But guess what? He's a backup. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. McKee came in the place of Pickett. They were destroying Pickett on some late hits. McKee, what did he do? 3 for 4, 54 yards, 2 touchdowns. What? 2 touchdowns, 75% completion ratio, 156.2 quarterback rating, 13.5 yards per pass. He did his job. We're not replacing Jalen Hurts with him. He did his job. In Dallas, it's a quarterback controversy. Anywhere else? They did their job. They went as a backup committee. They went 13-19. 197 yards passing. That's more than Jalen Hurts actually makes in some of these games. 3 touchdowns. They did their job. Bottom line, they did their job. I told y'all this before. The Philadelphia Eagles did exactly what Mike McCarthy should have did. And I think had he done this, he would have had less turnovers. Y'all remember what I said about Cooper Rush? I said if Cooper Rush threw the ball 25 times, they were getting blew out. Let me show you something. I'm not a genius. I'm just telling you, this is what you do when you have a backup quarterback in a good running game. Anybody notice? The Philadelphia Eagles combined with both of their backups threw it 19 times. This is how you play quarterback when your starting quarterback is out. You don't need to throw the ball 25, 30 times, 35 times, 40, 45 times, 50, 55, 60. No, he don't need to throw the ball that many times. You come up with a game plan that says, hey, this is the backup. That's put him in the best position and situation to win. And the best situation for him is for him to throw the ball less. And we set this thing up so that when he gets to play action, Kenny Pickett ate out play action. And they were stopping Saquon Barkley early on. And I've told y'all this and I've told y'all this. Look at this. 34, 37, not counting the 5, which would be 42. The Philadelphia Eagles ran the ball 37 times. Doggone it. That's what you're supposed to do when the backup is in. You run the ball. Do y'all know, if I'm not mistaken, they said this is the most carries by Saquon Barkley the entire season? They fed Saquon Barkley 31 times. He was 5.4 yards a carry. His longest, watch this. You can only say this about Saquon Barkley. His longest was only 23. Saquon Barkley's been a home run hitter all season long. His longest, I'm saying this like it's nothing because it's nothing for him. His longest was 23 yards. Saquon Barkley, in actuality, today on the Dallas Cowboys, he grinded it out. I've told y'all, you don't run the ball so that you have a dominant run game. You run the ball so you dominate the game. The Eagles dominated the game. They dominated the game. No, you don't know what you're talking about, G. Yes, I do. They dominated the game because they set the quarterback up, both quarterbacks up for 3 touchdowns. Don't tell me they didn't dominate the game. They dominated the game. They cracked the skull of the Cowboys. You know how you stop a pass rusher? You run at him. They cracked the Cowboys' skull today. Look at the Cowboys. Watch this part, though. This is the part that's going to really blow your mind. So the Cowboys today, they run the ball 25-28. Can't count these two. If you want to, you can count 30. They ran the ball 28 times. Here we go again. Mike McCarthy hates to run the ball. Do y'all realize that Rico Dowdle wasn't running too much? I mean, he wasn't running too much better than, let me say it like this. Saquon Barkley really didn't run too much better than Rico Dowdle. He didn't. He didn't run the ball. And I'm saying that because Saquon did run well. What if we run Rico Dowdle 31 times? What if we run Rico Dowdle? Let me see here. Let's do the math on Rico Dowdle. So if Rico Dowdle ran 4.5 yards per carry, and Rico Dowdle runs the ball 31 times like Saquon Barkley, this would mean that Rico Dowdle would have ran for 140 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles. I wonder if the game looks different. I wonder if the game looks different if we let Rico Dowdle run the ball, and I've been saying this all season. I want to see what he made of running 30 times, minimum. I would tell him the week of the game, hey, you're going to run the ball 35 times. You ready? Yeah, you're going to run the ball 35 times, period. 35 times. Maybe 30, but get ready for 35. 35 carries. And then you say, hey, Kevontae Turpin, you're going to be all over the field today. We're going to get you the ball in your hands today too. 5, 6, 7 times. Screens, sweeps, all kinds of ways. Kevontae Turpin, get ready. We're going to run you today at least 5 to 10 times. At least. Elliott, wherever you want to work him in. I would have already had the Trey Lance package. I would have already had that together too. Trey Lance would have been ready for this game. Trey Lance would have been a part of my running game too. Hey man, Trey Lance, the moment we get near the 25, get ready. Get ready the moment we get near the 25. You have to use every single asset you have, especially when you're the Dallas Cowboys. You don't have some of your starters, especially your starting quarterback. Stop making things up as if your backup is as good as your starter. He's not. Act like it. Act like it. Call the game like you know that. Rather than calling a game that's actually not for him. Today, they tried to run the Dak Prescott game with Cooper Rush, the vertical game. It's not his forte. It's not his forte. See, last week, y'all remember what I told you Friday? The West Coast, the vanilla, rinky-dink West Coast offense in its plain incarnation, it actually fits Cooper Rush better than Dak. Fits him better than Dak. See, what they were missing today is that they didn't have a West Coast wide receiver out there. Because to me, anybody who's ever seen the West Coast, CD Lamb would have absolutely ate in the West Coast with Joe Montana. He would have ate with it. He would have ate. Because CD Lamb is a yards after the catch monster. He's a yards after the catch monster. He's not like, to me, the Justin Jeffersons and the Jamar Chase. Justin Jefferson kills you deep. Kills you deep. Kills you on deep outs. Kills you on deep crosses. Kills you on fly routes. Kills you in the seam. Justin Jefferson kills you like that. CeeDee Lamb, he's a different kind of killer. He's a different kind of killer, man. CeeDee Lamb will kill you on 7-yard routes, 10-yard routes, 5-yard routes. You better get your hand around him. You better get your hand around CeeDee Lamb. If you don't wrap CeeDee Lamb up, you're not getting him with arm tackles. It's like he got grease on his body. You're not getting him like that. He is a yards after the catch monster. Absolute. He is a great West Coast type of wide receiver. Guess what? Jonathan Mingo, he's not a West Coast wide receiver. You can tell. He's a big-bodied, go-deep receiver. Ryan Flanoy, he is not a West Coast receiver. He is a go-deep, deep crosses, deep outs. I mean, he's that type of receiver. That's what you're looking at. Now, the thing that is absolutely astounding to me is that Brandon Cooks is a deep threat wide receiver in a West Coast wide receiver's body. You would think they could run him on a lot of the short routes, but you can't in the West Coast. You know why? Because he's so short. He's so short, and then when he goes up against a bigger cornerback, and if you don't put that ball right there low in front of him, if it's anywhere up in here, well, the bigger cornerbacks, like they did in the Green Bay game, they blame one of those interceptions on Dak, but in actuality, the Green Bay cornerback was so much bigger than Brandon Cooks. He just got over the top of him and got the ball. Brandon Cooks is a West Coast body he's a deep threat receiver in a West Coast body. And that's the crazy part. Do you notice they keep trying to get him deep? Cooper Rush can't do it. Can't do it. You have to throw Brandon Cooks a ball to where he runs under it and he runs past the defender. This is why even with Dak still is trying to, and I think Dak and Brandon Cooks was actually getting their connection this year. They were getting their connection. But then, of course, Dak got hurt. But even Dak, when he's throwing to Brandon Cooks, he's also trying to find, okay, because you got to do some practicing with this with a wide receiver like Brandon Cooks. Because if you get a taller wide receiver like a Justin Jefferson, let's say you throw the deep ball, and he has to run up under it. Well, his catch radius is bigger. He's got a bigger catch radius. He may be able to run up under a ball and reach higher than a Brandon Cooks because of the catch radius. Brandon Cooks got the speed, but the catch radius is so small, he's easier to underthrow. And with Cooper Rush, God forbid, but it's underthrows. So the game plan they had for Cooper Rush today was actually, to me, more of a Dak Prescott plan. They should have had a Cooper Rush plan. The same plan that these doggone Eagles did. They had a Kenny Pickett plan. Hey, Kenny, you're not going to throw the ball more than 25 times today. The reality is we only want to throw it 20 if possible. 20 is possible. Because if Saquon is going to eat, you're going to get that play action. We're going to get you Devontae. We're going to get you A.J. Brown. You'll get a couple of them on Booth or anyone other than DeRon Bland. And if you're feeling fancy and you think you got it, get it on DeRon Bland too. And that's exactly what they did. Rico Dowdle should have ran the ball 30-plus times. That's what would have kept this game close. The more you throw with Cooper Rush against especially these two safeties, it is an astounding stat when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles secondary. 8 interceptions before the Cowboys game. You would think they're coming from the cornerbacks. Nope. They're coming from the safeties. They're coming from the safeties. Their safeties are ball hawks. You saw what happened today. Their safeties are ball hawks. And this was the worst game you could have ever picked to have Cooper Rush playing the Dak Prescott plan. No, you should have stayed with the Cooper Rush plan. Hey, Rico Dowdle, you're going to run this ball today 35 times, and we're going to take our time getting down here. We're going to win time of possession. We're going to run 15-yard drives. We're going to try to have about 5 to 6 15-play drives, because that's enough to actually end the game. Do you know 6 15-yard play games mean 15-yard drives can end the game? A 15-yard drive can literally take up anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes. You mess around and get 5 of those in a game, you got 30 minutes time of possession. It's that simple. This is the game they should have been playing. I was astounded. They came out with this foolishness. Just like they did against the Bucs, came out with this foolishness. All this running, pretending that Cooper Rush is something that he's not. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's crazy talk. I knew this man threw the ball 28 times against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sorry. That's insanity. You don't treat the backup like he's the starter. I know that may be hard for some people to swallow. You don't treat the backup like the starter. Because if the backup was the starter, then the backup would actually be the starter. You wouldn't have paid $231 million. You would have said, hey, see you later. We'll get from under your contract. Cooper Rush is playing so good. We'll let Cooper Rush lead us for 2 years. No, you can't. And this is why on both occasions, when they've asked Jerry Jones, Jerry, do you regret signing Dak Prescott so soon? Maybe you should have waited the way Cooper Rush is playing. And on both of those occasions, Jerry said, no. 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 You know why? Because in the back room, somebody is telling Jerry Jones, Cooper Rush is a backup, Jerry. Y'all don't think, let me tell you how dumb people think Jerry actually is. I told y'all before Jerry said this. When you get ready to sign a Dak Prescott, you don't just look at Dak Prescott and say, well, we got to sign him because his salary cap number, he going to hit us for $90 million over the next 2 seasons if we sign him. So we think that's the conversation? Dumb. In actuality, the conversation is if that's the case, then the only reason why you're signing him, and if Cooper Rush is what everyone said Cooper Rush is, then your conversation goes like this. Cooper Rush is playing good enough. We have a great opportunity. We're about to get from under D. Law's contract, Zach Martin's contract. We can cut a couple of these safeties. And then we can just extend Cooper. We're only paying him 2 for $5. We can get him 2 more and maybe give him 2 for give him 2 for 20. Hey, Cooper, we're going to take you from 2 for $5. Now we're going to give you 2 more. We're going to pay you $20 million, $15 million guaranteed. That's a payday for Cooper Rush. That's a payday. And then you throw in bonuses and incentives. And if you throw 30 touchdowns, we'll throw in another $1 million. You throw 35, we'll give you another $1 million. You take us to the playoffs, we'll throw you another $1 million on top of that check that you get for the playoffs. And every game you win, Cooper, we'll give you another $1 million. You do that if Cooper Rush is that good. Because if Dak ain't it, well, the best thing you can do is ride those 2 years out and eat that $90 million. That wasn't the conversation. I'm telling you what the conversation was. I don't have to be there. You have to understand football business. Do you not understand what they do? Because Jerry and Steven both explain this in different ways, but this is what they do. They sit down at the table with the council. Is Dak Prescott worth signing for $231 million? Who's going to be available in free agency? Is he better than Dak? Nope. Who's coming out in the draft this year? Will they be better than Dak? Nope. Is Cooper Rush better than Dak, or can he at least be adequate enough? Nope. Okay, what's our other alternative? Well, there's word, San Francisco 49ers, they want to shake Trey Lance. What do we got to do to get him? 4th round draft pick. Let's do it. We'll get him ready. And if he can come out in the preseason, and if he can dominate in the preseason, we're going to give him every opportunity to put pressure on Dak Prescott. And if he plays well, we can tell you what we'll do. We'll re-sign you, but we're only going to sign you for $135 million. We're only going to extend you for 2 more years. You can tell Dak Prescott anything you want to if Trey Lance balls out. These are the conversations they have. They're not just signing someone because they're signing them. No, you have to weigh out all the alternatives. Who's coming out of the draft? What draft position will we have? Who's coming up in free agency? Are they better than Dak Prescott? Are their intangibles better than Dak Prescott? Do they give us a better opportunity to win? And, of course, you figuring in the salary cap and all of that, too. The Cowboys could have went 4 different ways. And every way they looked, they said Dak is better than any alternative we have. And the long shot in this is Trey Lance. And it didn't work out either. And now we're watching Cooper Rush. And anybody can tell me what they want to. But in watching Cooper Rush, this is exactly why they signed Dak Prescott. Because they already knew that this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable against good teams. Somebody said, "Oh, CeeDee Lamb wasn't there." Do y'all realize they actually did better without CeeDee Lamb? Let that sink in. That opening drive, they looked better than they did with CeeDee Lamb. What they scored the first time when they played the Philadelphia Eagles? Wasn't it 34-6? I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought it was something like 34-6. And if it was 34-6, they actually scored 1 more point than they did with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was not the issue today. Cooper Rush, he's just not good enough against good to great teams. I'm just astounded at this Philadelphia box score. I mean, when you look at it, you would think that, the way the score was, you would think 41-7, they were just killing it out here. And then you come over here and look, and you're just kind of like, wait a minute. Am I missing something? They didn't even throw for 200 yards? That's how it looked. It looked like they would throw. Nope. Saquon Barkley didn't even have a touchdown on the ground today. Didn't even have a touchdown. Nope. Now, this is the part to me that's really appalling. See, Dak Prescott is out. Cooper Rush is the backup quarterback. Then I'm going to get to y'all comments. Cooper Rush is the backup quarterback, so he's the backup. End of story, period. Well, Micah Parsons is a starter, isn't he? Isn't he kind of doing all the talking all the time? Micah Parsons today. 2 tackles. You cannot have the most dominant player on your defense, he cannot only get 2 tackles. That's not sustainable either. The most dominant player on your defense, who is now, or at least what everyone's saying, it's Micah Parsons. Well, if he's only getting 2 tackles, I don't want to hear nothing about quarterback pressures. Because guess what? The Eagles aren't going to give you opportunities to get quarterback pressures. There was this guy on the radio this morning, and he was arguing and getting destroyed by Brian Broaddus. He was getting destroyed by me, too, as I was on my way to church because I was talking in the car, but he couldn't hear me. But Brian Broaddus was destroying him with the same argument. He was saying, have you looked at the sack rate of the Philadelphia Eagles? You can't win. You can't win in the playoffs like this. I mean, they're number 31. Their sack rate is terrible. And I'm like, but do you not get it? They don't throw the ball a lot. They're not going to allow you to get a lot of sacks on them because they're not throwing the ball a lot. So when you do get sacks on them, because they throw so little, the sack percentage on them is higher in a sense. But the untold part of the story is, but you don't get many opportunities for the sacks because they can run the ball. Jalen Hurts is going to run. Saquon Barkley is going to run. Gainwell is going to run. They're going to run the ball on you 30, 35 times in a game. You keep playing with them, they're running 40. You don't get a lot of opportunities at sacks. And if you do, you better make them count. If they drop back 20 times like they did today pretty much, then you better make it your business. You're going to drop back 20 times, we're going to get us at least 3 sacks. We're going to make it happen. We're going to get after you. We're going to make it happen. They don't give you that opportunity. They don't. They don't give you that opportunity. And because they don't give you that opportunity, then if you're playing defensive end and the only thing you're good for is rushing the passer, then now someone has to tell me, since I've nullified the pass rush, I've nullified the pass rusher, now you got to tell me then what is the benefit of saying that one player is the most dominant player on the team when teams play you and they nullify him by running the ball? This is why LT was so dangerous. He played the linebacker position. He could rush the passer. He could stop the run. He could pressure the quarterback. He could cover, get interceptions. He could cause fumbles. I mean, this is why LT was a wrecking machine. He's all over the place. You're not stopping LT with double teams. You're not stopping LT chipping him with running backs. You're not stopping LT chipping him with tight ends. You're not stopping LT with a good offensive. You're not stopping him with an offensive tackle. You're not stopping him. You're not stopping LT. He's too big. He's too fast. He's too smart. He's too dominant. He's a doggone generational player. Man, you put LT in this generation with some of this soft play that man, they'd have to arrest Lawrence Taylor in this generation. They wouldn't be able to contain this man. They would not be able to contain this man. They would not even be able to contain some of the linebackers the Cowboys have had. They wouldn't be able to control some of these guys. But when your most dominant player, this is your box score, and he's at the bottom, 2 tackles. 2 tackles. That's it. 2 tackles. Eric Kendricks, 5 tackles, 4 assists. 9 tackles total. This is where he could really be doing a lot of the help, is at the linebacker position. He could be. But he doesn't want to play it. It's obvious he doesn't want to play it. And so this is why Micah Parsons, the quote-unquote most dominant defensive player on the Dallas Cowboys team, these two things should not go together. Nullify and Micah Parsons. Those two things shouldn't go together. If they are nullifying Micah Parsons in big games, I got news for us. We're using him wrong. And if we don't have a coach that has enough gumption to say it, somebody have enough gumption to say it to Jerry Jones, say it to Stephen Jones. If someone doesn't have enough gumption to say it, well, y'all better get ready. I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to get, what we've been getting. We're going to see outstanding performances against average to below average teams. We're going to have to dig into the analytics against the good teams. And even though he's not going to have the sacks and the tackles, we're going to be arguing about, the quarterback pressures. Do you know what a quarterback pressure means? You didn't get the quarterback. You didn't get him. You didn't get the quarterback. That's what that means. I know people don't like to hear that. That's what that stat means. You didn't get the quarterback. You're not effective in the run game. So if you're being nullified. Where are you being effective? Did you notice how quiet he was today? I'm going to have to get me a cricket button next. Because cue the crickets. Micah Parsons really couldn't help you today. He's undersized against a very good offensive line. Where was he? How was he going to get through? How was he going to get through? It wasn't going to happen. It was not going to happen. I'm going to have to skip down. I got so many of you guys' comments. I'm going to let me see if I can kind of catch up somewhere here towards the bottom. If I hadn't greeted you yet, hey, how you doing today? Wilson Santiago, Dark Brown, Michael Hankins, John Wade, Real Fan 1, 70s Fan. What's going on? I'm just trying to catch everybody here and I can, and I'm going to go back up somewhere around the bottom. Robert M., what's going on? I can't wait to get to that comment. I just glanced at it. Let me keep going here. I want to make sure I get everybody. Richard Owens, what's going on? Dominique Waller. You see, let me keep going here. Michael H., if I didn't greet you, what's going on? Man, some of these names, I always love these names. King Kong, Thug, Passion. Yeah, I can't wait to get back to the comment you just made. John Fulton, what's going on? Nisi, what's going on with you? Post Boy, what's going on? Willie T in the house, what's going on? All right, I'm going to come back up. I'm going to go back up here, read some of your comments. I won't be able to get to the whole thing because I never finish. John Fulton, what's going on? What's that? Cam Keogh. All right. And then we got somebody named Boo Master. What's going on? Sounds like he's an Eagles fan. Yeah, y'all got us today. Y'all just a better team. I mean, there's no shame in our game. I mean, the reality is the Eagles are just better than the Cowboys right now. But we'll be back. Don't you worry. We will be back. And I'm going to pick up right here with the Set Your Whole Slate. What's going on? I didn't speak to you earlier. Said even if the Cowboys ran the ball, they probably get blown out with the defense playing like this. It wouldn't have been as bad, though. And I think if they run the ball, I think it gives them some more opportunities with the play action. And that's why I keep saying, because at the end of the day, Rico Dowdle actually played good. I think he had a fumble, but he played good. And this is why when you have a running game working like this, man, you got to run him 35 times. You got to run him at least 30 times. And the thing about Mike that I don't like is Mike will not let the running back really get into a groove to where he just running until they either stop him or you run him until you can get that mismatch that you want. But I think there's a combination of things going on here, whole slate. The problem is this was not a Cooper Rush game plan because they were trying to go deep. That's just not his forte. I think that the run did open up some of that. It's just not his forte. He just can't do it. I mean, it's the bottom line. He can't do it. Gabe says Trey Lance needs plenty of reps so he can develop his skills. How much worse would it have been with Trey? We could have seen something from Mingo today. I definitely believe it. This was the game. You actually should have gave it to Trey Lance. This is the game. And I'm hoping that we get to see Trey Lance the next game. What is the point in letting Cooper Rush play the last game? I just don't see the point, man. Dark Brown said they tore it from the flow up. Yeah, we're not a good team, man. We're just not right now. Michael A. said he doesn't have Dak. McCarthy knows he has to be the one to put the team his back coaching. And the problem is, Michael H., he can't. That's his downfall. He can't. Because he's terrible at situational football. He doesn't like to run the ball, and he panics way too fast. It was not the time to panic when you got down 14-7. Even when you got down, 17-7, it wasn't the time to panic. Go back to your ground game. Stay patient. Run the ball. See if you can make it 10-17. See if you can make it 10-17. They were able to move the ball some. See if you can run it 10-17. You got to win that time of possession. You got to keep that ball out of Cooper Rush's hands as much as possible. Didn't do it. Whole Slate says, name one position group where the Cowboys are better than the Eagles. They're not. I've already said that. I said that on Friday. The Eagles are a better team. And this is one of the reasons why I said before, and I said it even today, there comes a time when all the ifs, if we do this, and if we do this, and if we can do this, and if we, all that if stuff out the window. It comes a time when you got to just line up in front of a team, be better than them, and beat them. And we were not. The Eagles are a complete football team. They are. They're a complete football team. John Wade says, I'm at the point of, to me, we will always have a puppet head coach. That person will have his staff picked out for him. We'll have players that are good, not great. And let's flip the script on what you said, John Wade, because I agree to a degree. But how about this part? How about you may actually have great players, but they'll only perform good because you got a puppet head coach? I talked about this before a couple of times this week. This is why I give Phil Jackson and Jimmy Johnson all the credit in the world. Because they were able to coach egos, great players. They were also able to coach role players amongst high ego, great players. They created accountability to where the players were not only accountable to the coach, but the players felt accountable to each other. That even when the Cowboys had the triplets, as they called them in the 90s, I'm sorry, they were not the triplets in actuality. Dallas Cowboys' offensive line was devastating. Their offensive line was devastating. There was nothing nobody could do with that. They could do nothing with that offensive line. Nothing. Darryl Johnson at fullback. Wide receivers like Alvin Harper. Players like Charles Haley, Deion Sanders, Darren Woodson. The Cowboys were actually loaded. And they had a great coach that could coach greatness out of them. Created a culture of accountability. They held each other accountable. We don't have that on this team. We got a bunch of players on this team trying to build a brand. Running their mouth, trying to build a brand. It's hard to win like that, man. Excuse me. It's hard to win like that. It is. It's hard to win like that. We haven't built a team since Jimmy. We've had great players. I won't debate anybody on we've had players. We haven't had great teams. We haven't had great teams. We need to build a great team once and for all. Like the Eagles have built. The Detroit Lions have built a great team. The Vikings have built a great team. Green Bay is on their way to building a great team. The Rams are on their way to getting back to building a great team. The 49ers, what we've watched from them over the last 5 years, with the exception of this one, they've built great teams. We got to learn, we got to get back to building a great team. And your point is well taken, because I keep saying great teams are actually built from the top up, not from the quarterback or the coach. It has to start with the ownership. He gives the GM, he empowers him to get the personnel. The GM, he empowers the coach. The owner empowers the coach. You build our culture. We'll get you the teams. I'll sign the checks. You build the culture. You create the accountability. You control the personnel on the field. You do those things. And that is one of our biggest breakdowns. And this team right here, I've said it before in years past, and I've said it when I began this channel. People do not understand what this team has to do. If you're going to be on this team, you have to fight the opponent. Well, let's go in order. You got to fight your owner's loud mouth, because he's always out there talking, running his mouth, saying stuff about who knows who this week. You then have to fight your coach, because your coach, he's listening to the owner. He's being influenced by the owner. He's doing certain things. He's making certain moves. He's calling certain plays. Dez Bryant has talked about this. Then this team has to fight the media. They got to turn their phones off, turn the TV off, turn the radio off, can't talk to certain people, because the media is eating this team up, whether good or bad, mostly bad. And then if you got rogue players on the team, now you got to fight the rogue players on your team who are trying to build a brand rather than trying to be a part of the team. Oh, yeah, and then on top of that, you also have to fight the opponent. And then every opponent that the Dallas Cowboys play, people don't understand. Most teams, they go to the playoffs and they play in the playoffs. The Dallas Cowboys, we play games where every team almost is giving us their best shot. I don't know of any other team like that. We can play a team with no wins. They'll come out and give us their best shot. Why? Because we're the Dallas Cowboys. And they know that if you can do something against us, everybody's going to be talking about it. Everybody. Paul Ham, he says, go Eagles. Wicked says, I love how Cam Newton kept it real on First Take. Justin Fields can do the same things as Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes does. Develop him the right way and allow him to lead the team. We don't develop quarterbacks no more. We don't develop them. And I'm going to tell you, Wicked, and one of the reasons why we don't develop them, I can remember off the top of my dome right now, in the last 9 years, we have at least, let me name them. We have now 5 quarterbacks that have contributed to a problem that we now have in the NFL of not developing quarterbacks. When I was growing up, it was commonplace that if a team drafted a quarterback and they already had a starter, you knew you wasn't seeing him for 3 years. You knew it. You were not seeing him for 3 years, 2-3 years. You were not seeing him because he was going to be developed. He was not getting on the field in his rookie year. I don't care how good he was. He just wasn't getting on. Unless he's a generational talent and you actually don't have a good quarterback in the first place. So he's going to hit the field like the guys like Dan Marino, guys like that. But in these last 10 years, there are 5 quarterbacks that are a problem and why people today are trying to hit the jackpot on quarterbacks rather than develop quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, even though he sat down a year. Patrick Mahomes. Because Patrick Mahomes had immediate success. Lamar Jackson, immediate success. What's the kid from the Houston Texans? Immediate success. Jaden Daniels, now Washington Commanders. Immediate success. Oh, and by the way, y'all might not realize it, but we have one of those quarterbacks. Go check out Dak Prescott's rookie season. We didn't develop Dak. Dak has developed over time, but we didn't develop Dak. And so now, if quarterbacks don't come out and they have these outstanding first and second seasons, by the third season, a lot of times they're ready to get rid of them. They're ready to go back in the draft, draft another quarterback, and just continue the cycle. And then some number 1 draft pick quarterback becomes a backup quarterback like a Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, you could go down the line of all these quarterbacks that have been drafted in the first round, and the first thing they expect is, well, they're supposed to come out and be world beaters. Daniel Jones. I mean, you just go down like Baker Mayfield. Remember what happened to him? I mean, you can go down the line on these quarterbacks. They don't develop these guys anymore. They don't. They want to get a rookie quarterback. They want to take a Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has been a part of this problem. You take a Brock Purdy, you put players around him. Sink or swim. Mess around, take it to the Super Bowl. And you think you got your man. He fall off the boat 2 years later, you're done with him. We don't develop quarterbacks no more. We don't even hardly develop players no more. We just don't. Dark Brown says, ball boys, water ball boys, oops, that's 2. John Wade said, just enough to win the season, but not the playoff. Proof is the last 30 years. And this has also been a kind of a problem with Mike McCarthy. And I'm not going to blame it all on Mike McCarthy, but I think Mike McCarthy has had a better chance than most because Mike McCarthy, one of his biggest hangups is he just don't like to run the ball. Bad situational football. What's going on, 70s fan? Michael H. says a solid quarterback can make a so play caller look like a world beater. Yeah. And the definition of solid is what we have to get at because at the end of the day, Cooper Rush is a backup. And when I say, at least I'm taking, when you say solid, I'm taking, though, a solid quarterback as a starting quarterback. He's not a backup. And a lot of people like to run to Nick Foles. Nick Foles wasn't a backup originally. No, Nick Foles was a starter in this league. Dark Brown said, of all the teams, the one I would least want to face in the playoff is the Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles are going to be a tough out for anybody. In the NFC, the Eagles are going to be a tough out because they can grind you out all kinds of ways. They got their and the problem I see for all the other teams in the NFC, the Detroit Lions are going to have a problem with the Eagles in the playoffs because the Detroit Lions defense is decimated. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Saquon Barkley may very well run this team to a Super Bowl, along with Jalen Hurts running with him. Let's see here, get down here to some more. John said we will either have McCarthy or Kellen Moore back for head coach. You know what? I'm gonna talk about this week, but I want to throw Pete Carroll in there. I want to throw Pete Carroll in there. I think Pete Carroll could be good for this team. The Real Fan 1 says, and the thing Kellen Moore got blamed for this mess. Now watch this. No, let's think about who blamed Kellen Moore. It was Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy was the one who made the infamous statement, I just want to run the ball, when everyone knows it's a bold-faced lie. But he basically blamed Kellen Moore for the San Francisco loss. Gabe said, unlike McCarthy, Kellen Moore developed all three of his quarterbacks this year, and we saw that on full display today. The Three Stooges played for Mike. Jerry Jones never needs to be dead and gone and die too. You know what? Kellen Moore is going to find himself having a head coach job in the next year or two. Because Kellen Moore has went to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, what I appreciate about what he did, he didn't turn Jalen Hurts into another Dak Prescott. See, when he went to go work with Justin Herbert, they blamed Kellen Moore for Justin Herbert's failures. Kellen Moore did really good with Dak Prescott, but Kellen Moore got himself in a pickle from this perspective. How did he go from the Tampa Bay game to the San Francisco game? Dak Prescott looked like the best quarterback I'd ever seen in my life in the Tampa Bay game. Retired Tom Brady, even though Tom Brady probably already going to retire. Retired him, though. Dak was flawless that day. And then he goes to the San Francisco game. And Dak and Kellen Moore, they both looked off. Dak was off. He seemed like he was a little bit tentative. And Kellen Moore was making some calls that were questionable. And that's one of the ways that Mike McCarthy got Kellen Moore. Because Mike was saying that Kellen should have threw the ball more. I mean, should have ran the ball more rather than throwing it. And so he basically got him in a pickle. But Dak did good under both of them. But Mike McCarthy took him to that basically almost took him to an MVP season that they cheated him out of. But Kellen Moore, I think Kellen Moore has matured. Because there were times, even with Dak Prescott, I did think that Kellen Moore was, because he's an ex-quarterback, and if you follow him at Boise State, Kellen Moore threw the ball all over the doggone place. I mean, Kellen Moore, in college wasn't half bad. But Mike got him in a pickle because there were times that that people were saying that he didn't run the ball enough, and then he was able to corner him like that. But Kellen Moore, man, he's redeemed himself. He really has. Because you have to understand what it takes, how much humility it takes for a head coach or an offensive coordinator like Kellen Moore, who likes to throw the ball. How much humility it takes for him to now be content with throwing the ball 19 times and running the ball 31, 35, 37 times. That's humility that we have yet to see from Mike McCarthy. We have yet to see him say, man, I'm going to commit fully to the run. We haven't seen him do it. And so Kellen Moore, he's redeemed himself. I believe he's redeemed himself. He's going to find himself with a head coach job. And if they mess around and win the Super Bowl, oh, man. Or go to the NFC Championship game, Kellen Moore is going to be a hot commodity. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry Jones wouldn't consider getting him again. Because he couldn't bring him back with Mike McCarthy. Because I think for Mike McCarthy, I think one of the stipulations for Mike McCarthy is if Mike McCarthy wants to stay here, I will not be surprised if Jerry Jones say, if you want to stay here, you're going to give up the play calling. And Mike McCarthy is very prideful in that vanilla offense he runs, that vanilla West Coast offense, there are probably teams out there who will be willing to bring Mike McCarthy on as the head coach and allow him to be the play caller. Maybe the Jets. I've heard his name come up with the Chicago Bears. Mike McCarthy may shock everyone. I've already did a video about it. Mike McCarthy may shock everybody. May turn Jerry Jones down. May turn him down. Yeah, I thought so too, John Wade. I thought it was pretty much about to be over after the first turnover. I thought it was over. But hey, I'm going to tell you something though, John. I kind of got my hopes up. After they came back after that interception, they recovered well. 15-play drive touchdown. Yep, exactly, John. That's what I was explaining. McCarthy got him in that pickle. He wanted him gone. John Wade, who can they realistically get this better than McCarthy, who would put up with Jerry Jones? Now, see, this is the question right here, the $1 million question. I don't think it's a matter of who they can get better because I think they can. I think the second part of your question is the one that has the weight, Real Fan One. Who will put up with Jerry Jones' mess? I'm telling you, man, I really think the Cowboys should really think about Pete Carroll. I really do. John said, and I'm sick and tired of hearing we have injuries. The Lions have 11 players out and yet they win. Excuses don't work for me. Yep. Appreciate the Purple Soul. She said, Facts G. Michael H. balled out in spite of Jerry sabotaging them. Yep. For sure. No one in their right mind would accept this job. I said it early in the season too, unless they knew or desperate, so we're screwed. I think Kellen Moore take it. I'm telling you, man, Jerry Jones may be getting us ready for something crazy. I'm at a point now, I'm not sold that Mike McCarthy is not going to be here until I get the press conference with him being gone and then him clearing out his office. But I'm also not fully convinced that Mike McCarthy is going to be here because Jerry is just propping him up way too much. It's like he's bragging on him too much. Because if I'm bragging on him this much, I'm going to go ahead and sign him. Some ain't right. And you know what? I always tell my wife, this is a battle of attrition. Who can stay healthiest? Or who can be healthy down the stretch? We're watching some teams that are getting healthy down the stretch. And this is why I think the Detroit Lions are in danger. And we better be careful about these doggone Minnesota Vikings. Better be careful about the Minnesota Vikings, man. They look really good. I don't have full confidence in Sam Darnold, but I can't help but give credit where credit is due. That doggone Sam Darnold is balling his butt off, man. He is. Real Fan said that defense was great during those 12-5 seasons. No, I'm not going to agree with you. Dak couldn't get it enough and get it done. Defense did their job against the 49ers both playoffs. No, I think they did in one of the playoff games. But I'm not going to give that to you. And the reason why I'm not going to give that to you, because the Philadelphia defense we're watching right now, we haven't had a defense that good in those 12-5 seasons. We have not had a defense that good. That defense is good. I mean, pretty much top to bottom. We haven't had a team other than the quarterback and the wide receiver and players. We may have had some players better than the Philadelphia Eagles have right now. But in those 12-win seasons, we haven't had a team better than this Philadelphia team. We haven't. We haven't. I get tired of us talking about we had players. No. We have not had teams. That team last year, if we're honest with ourselves, safeties playing linebackers. If you think that's a playoff and Super Bowl team, I got a bridge in London I want to sell you. We make this stuff up. We make up in our mind that the team is good enough. We make that up in our own mind and say, well, that team is good enough and they ought to be able to win with them. Compare any of those teams to the team that Troy Aikman had. I dare you. I dare you to compare any of the teams that Dak and Romo played with to Troy Aikman. I dare you. Because you're going to eat your words. And when I look at the Philadelphia Eagles as they are currently constructed, even in the 12-win seasons, we haven't had a team better than what the Eagles are right now. The one team that I actually think was the greatest team that Dak has played for, and people don't talk about it, it was the rookie team. That rookie team with Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and Smith on the line, that team right there was the best team Dak played on. What, Dez Bryant was on that team, if I'm not mistaken? Best team Dak has played on. I'm talking about team. I'm not talking about players. See, we keep talking about players. We can always brag about players, but we can't brag about a team. Because if you look at those teams, and I went back and did this already a couple of days ago, if you go back and look at those teams, in actuality, when you compare those teams to the teams that went on to the Super Bowl, we were not better than those teams. If I go back and look at Troy Aikman and the 90s Cowboys, the teams that Troy Aikman was on was better than every team. How do we know? Because they went to the Super Bowl 3 times. And there was only one season when they were not better than the San Francisco 49ers. And that was the season that Steve Young got his Super Bowl and Deion Sanders was on that team. We were not better than them. But the 2 years before that and the year after that, when we got Deion Sanders, we were a better team. Jimmy built teams. We haven't built a team since Jimmy. Sorry, but we haven't. Alex, appreciate that $1.99 super chat, my brother. Appreciate you in the chat. And this is the part that we don't like to admit. You can brag to me about players all day long. We haven't had teams. We have not had teams. We have not had bona fide teams. There has not been one team in this 12-win season run that we went on. There has not been one of those teams. I looked at it and I said, that team is better than every team in the NFC. Like we're doing the Detroit Lions before they got hurt. Like we're doing the Minnesota Vikings with all their players. Like we're doing with the Philadelphia Eagles. We have not had a team, and maybe some of y'all did it. I have not seen a team under Dak or under Romo that I looked at those teams and said, man, we better than every team out there. We better win. I haven't seen that team. I haven't. We don't build teams. We don't develop players. We get players. We don't develop players. We get players. We don't have teams. There are teams out there that are, I just haven't seen those teams. I haven't seen them. Let me go down a little bit more here. Postboy said he wished they had this plan the whole season. Willie T, what's going on? Real says I see, but this is our problem. We're the only team that talks like this. We're the only team that talks like this. I'm telling you, we're the only team that talks like this. We're the only team that talks about our quarterback getting it done. The reality is teams win Super Bowls. Teams win Super Bowls. A quarterback wins a Super Bowl. I mean, you can say he wins a Super Bowl. When a quarterback goes out, and even then you got to give other players credit. But if a quarterback goes out and throws 9 touchdowns in a Super Bowl, that quarterback, I mean, he's not the sole reason they won, but yeah, he did a whole lot in that game. But when you look at teams that win Super Bowls, teams win Super Bowls. Because there are teams that have won with lesser quarterbacks than Dak Prescott. Teams have won with lesser quarterbacks than Dak Prescott. I don't buy this. This is this dumb excuse that they only use for Dallas. It's always about the quarterback in Dallas. No. This is why we keep getting beat. Because we want our quarterback to come overcome every deficiency that we have. Oh, we're going to play we're going to play safeties at linebacker. Oh, our quarterback, he's getting paid $40+ million. He ought to be able to overcome that. Stupid talk. The Eagles didn't think like that. They only got Saquon Barkley while paying Jalen Hurts $52 million a year. Detroit Lions didn't think like that while paying Jared Goff $52 million a year. This is what teams are doing. We're the only ones still making this antiquated argument. It's antiquated, it's dumb, and it's a lie. It doesn't make sense. Michael said the only reason they beat Carolina, they got up on them early in the scoreboard. And you know what? This is how we beat the Buccaneers. We got up on the Buccaneers 10-0. We made them have to play catch up and get out of their game. It was great. It was a great job what we did. But you can't do that to the good teams. The good teams come out and just do what they do. They dictate. They don't get dictated to. They dictate. Nisi said if Jerry don't release himself and his family from all football components and get real football minds in place, and this team is going to have to win in spite of the Joneses. I do think they're going to try to probably get them I think they're going to try to get some players this year. I just keep hearing this. It sounds like they're going to do something in free agency. It sounds like they're going to do something in it. Postboard, Mike ain't it. I think, and even Brian Broadus talked about this today. He said something very interesting, and I like how he articulated it. He said that Mike McCarthy is not the type of coach that changes the game on the field. I thought that was very interesting. Because I'm like, what does he mean? How can a coach change the game from the sideline on the field? We may not realize it, but we're watching this from Dan Campbell. We're watching this from Nick Sirianni. We're watching this from Andy Reid. We're watching this from the Baltimore Ravens. We're watching this if we pay attention. How does a coach change what's going on the field while not being a player? It's by understanding the situation and making play calls that absolutely change a game. He sees something, he makes an adjustment, and he changes the complexity of the whole game just by making a small change, by making an adjustment. Not at halftime. No. Watch Bill Belichick during the Patriot years. Bill Belichick would make adjustments. You could tell he would make adjustments right there on the fly. Bill would do something that would change the whole game. Bill may go for it on a 4th and 3 when everyone says don't go for it. Does anybody knows what Dan Campbell is doing? Dan Campbell is changing the game on the field as we watch it. Dan Campbell does things a lot of people don't do. We just watched it, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? Dan Campbell could have kicked the extra point to tie the game. No, I think it was a field goal he could have kicked or something to that effect. I think it maybe would have tied it or something like that. Dan Campbell went for the first down instead so he could run all the time off the clock. That's changing the game on the field. We watched the game just the other night. What was it, the Cincinnati game? And they were talking about this in the booth of how he left way too much time on the clock. Almost lost the game for him again. You change the game by understanding situational football, understanding what your quarterback is doing. I'll give you a prime example. I watched the game with Jared Goff this season. Jared Goff against the Houston Texans. He throws 5 interceptions in that game. And they still win the game. But one of the things that I like that Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson did, rather than losing their composure, they would settle Jared Goff back down. And they eventually got him settled back down in the game. Do you not realize that a running game settles a quarterback down? If your quarterback is having a hard time completing passes, or if he throws a couple of wild passes, settle him down. Okay, hold on a second. All right, he's not looking right. Hey, all right, let's run the ball right here. Let's run the ball right here. Hold on a second. Let's get this first down. Let's grind. Let's get this first down. Let's run the ball. Let's let our quarterback get reset. Okay, he's having problems completing passes. So, you know what we do? Let's get him some easy stuff. Let's get him a screen. We just want him to get into the feel of the game. Now, you know how I know this to be true? We watched Kellen Moore do it today. Kellen Moore did it today. This is why I'm giving Kellen Moore a whole lot of credit. Kellen Moore did this today right in front of our eyes. Kellen Moore, if you notice, Kenny Pickett came out. And I think Kenny Pickett was what? I think he was, his first couple of passes, they were kind of high and wild. They were kind of high and wild. I don't know if y'all remember this. They were kind of high and wild. I want you to look at this first drive. This is what you do. Watch this. So they finally get on the field because they basically, their defense got on the field. What was it? Their defense got on the field because they came out in the opening drive. They picked it off. Cowboys get the ball. The defense comes right back out. So they get out 2 times before the offense touches the field. Watch how smart this is. So Kenny Pickett comes out. They get a penalty. False start, 5 yards. Next play, 1st and 15. Kenny Pickett, incomplete pass. Short left, A.J. Brown. Incomplete pass to short left. They come back out on the next one. Their only goal, watch this. The concern right here is not about getting the first down. The concern right here is to settle Kenny Pickett down because we got to get him a completion. We got to get him some completions. We got to get him a completion so that he can get into the rhythm of the game. This is what they did. They weren't trying to get the first down. We need to get Kenny Pickett into a rhythm. They punt the ball. They make the Cowboys punt the ball. Here we go again. All right. Let's settle Kenny down. Let's get his head in the game. Settle him down. What do you do on this drive? You run, you run, you run, you punt. Why are they doing this? When you see your quarterback, whether he may be rattled, whether his confidence is down because he hasn't completed a pass, it is your job as the offensive coordinator and the head coach that you have to work together to say, okay, hold on a second. We got to get our quarterback in a rhythm. We got to get him some easy stuff. Let's change the game. What can we do to get him completions? What can we do to get him in a rhythm? Go to the playbook. What are the plays that we know he likes? What are the plays that we've seen on film that maybe we know he can do well? What have we seen in practice? What has he told us he likes to do? What is it? What are the Cowboys giving us? What are they giving us? You go do all of this, and then you start changing the game. And this is why when they came out the next time, started changing the game on them. 5-yard pass, 7-yard pass, 1-yard run, 7-yard run. They're getting into a rhythm. They're getting him a couple of completions. Okay, let's settle him back down. Let's run the ball. Let's get him a completion. And then, lo and behold, what does he do? He hit him with the deep one. This is how you do it. This is just how you do it. You change the game. You make plays. The coach makes plays on the field. And one of the biggest plays that the Philadelphia Eagles does that really changes games that people don't have no answer for is Jalen Hurts with the tush push. It's a game changer. It didn't quite look the same today, but it worked. With Jalen Hurts, it's unstoppable. It's dang near unstoppable. It's plays like that. It's plays like that. And you think about something else they did today. I don't see us doing stuff like this. I don't see us doing mastermind stuff like this. Kellen Moore was not doing this when he was in Dallas. Kellen Moore has been empowered on this Philadelphia Eagle team. Kellen Moore has done this to us not once but twice. Kellen Moore was so smart. He didn't say, I'm going to A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown wants the ball. Kellen Moore said, where's Booth? Where's Booth? Let's go get him. Let's go after him. We're going to tear him up. Wherever he is, that's what we're looking for. Where is Booth? Where is he? They figured it out. We can get these guys. Let's call plays that keep our quarterback comfortable, keep our offense in a rhythm, keep our defense fresh. Coaches can absolutely change the entire outlook of a game. And when I look at Mike McCarthy, we may not realize this, but this has been one of the biggest complaints even in the 12-win seasons. You have to ask yourself, has anybody asked why didn't we win 13? Did anybody ever ask that? Excuse me. Why didn't we get 13? Why didn't we get 14? Why didn't we muster 15 in some of those seasons? Why not? I know we say that the players are the ones who play, but at the same time, it is the coaches who are supposed to put them in the best positions to win. And if you look at if you look at Andy Reid, if you look at Ben Johnson, this is why so many people want Ben Johnson. I have watched these Detroit Lions game, and this guy is doing magic with Jared Goff. Jared Goff isn't a dual threat quarterback. He's not mobile by any stretch of the imagination. But they got pieces, they got players, and he knows how to use them. And he's smart when it comes to situational football. Him and Dan Campbell are genius. They build so much confidence in their defense. Folks don't understand. When you're going forward on 4th and 1, you're changing the game from the sideline because you're telling your defense, hey, man, we're going to go for this because we know y'all good enough that if we don't get it, y'all will stop them. We're going to put trust in our offense where our offense, every time it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, they're ready. They're always ready. We're building a mentality into our team. They're always ready for 4th and 1. They're always ready for 4th and 2. And they're going to go out there and they know they can get it. And if we don't get it, we don't get bent out of shape. We don't get mad at the quarterback. We don't get mad at the coach. We don't get mad at the offense. The defense says, don't worry. Hey, hold my drink. I'll be back in a minute. We're going to go out here and get a 4. We're going to go out here and get a 3 and out and get our offense the ball back. Oh, Jared Goff, you threw 5 interceptions? No problem. We'll still win the game. We're not built like that. Coaches build you like that. Coaches build you like that because they make game-changing plays that give you so much confidence in them that when they call those plays, you go, man, success. We're going to do this. We don't build teams like that, and we haven't built a team like that. And that's been even one of the problems under Mike McCarthy. He is not a motivator of men. He doesn't change the mentality of men. And he definitely doesn't change the mentality of men on the fly. He doesn't make those type of changes. He doesn't. Richard said it's okay this year with the Eagles beating us, but next season we got their number. You know what? It's been back and forth. No one, I don't know how many years it's been, but no one has won 2 in a row. The NFC East haven't won 2 in a row. Richard said if Dak was playing today, the game would have been different. No doubt. Dak has owned these Philadelphia Eagles, man. Dak has owned them. Absolutely owned them. Yep, by the way, we swept the Eagles. Yep, we've owned them pretty much. Now we have to live with the Eagles talking about how they beat the brakes off of us. Yep, for sure. Next season will be just like this one. Get ready. We have too many holes to fill, and this will take a couple of years to build. And John Fulton, welcome to the show. This is one of the reasons why I say the Cowboys are going to get the chip in 26. I fully believe it. I fully believe the Cowboys are going to get the chip in 26. I think they're going to go in the draft this year. I think this draft is going to be good if they get the skill positions at the top. I think this draft is going to be good. I think Dak is going to come back bigger and stronger. They're going to shore up this run game in the draft. They're going to get a wide receiver in this draft. They'll probably play around with the linebacker. We're going to have to dress corner. But I think where they're going to surprise us, for some reason, I believe they're going to do something in free agency. I just got a sneaky feeling they're going to do something in free agency. I do. I think they're going to do something in free agency. And that team will be a whole lot better because this team isn't actually in rebuild mode. We got the quarterback. We got the wide receiver. We got Micah Parsons. We got some of the young pieces that we've seen so far. I mean, we got Deron Bland. We got Leafau. I mean, we got pieces. We got pieces. We're not in a total rebuild. So when we get back healthy, we should be able to supplement some of this stuff in the draft. And not only that, I do think for some crazy reason, they're going to do something over these next couple of years. 2026, you watch what I tell you. This team will be better next year. I'm telling you, I got a strange feeling. They're going to get the chip in 26. They are going to get the chip in 26. I believe it. New NFL for edge rushers of Lawrence Taylor came back. Have to count to 5 Mississippi's before rushing the man, I'm telling you, boy, Lawrence Taylor would be killing this generation, man. Boy, he'd be killing this generation. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Alex. Yeah, man, he'd be killing this generation. Booth Master said, we them boys. Yeah, you better believe it is. Jay Recruiter, Michael was standing around. And Jay Recruiter, this happens to him when he gets dominated. When he gets dominated, this stuff happens to him. See, a lot of people keep talking about Dak can't get it done. Well, I'm going to push back on you if you say Dak couldn't get it done, because if Dak couldn't get it done, that means the coach couldn't get it done. And if Dak couldn't get it done, then the defense couldn't get it done. I don't want to hear good enough. Good enough actually isn't good enough. When you start talking about winning Super Bowls, you're going to find that somewhere on that team, you notice what I said? Somewhere on that team, you're not going to say they're good enough. You're going to say they're dominant. You don't use words like good enough with Super Bowl teams. You use words like dominant. See, that's the part we don't understand. No, you use words like dominant. Like those Baltimore Ravens teams, dominant defense. Chicago Bears, the year they won, dominant defense. 90s Cowboys, what do we talk about? Dominant. Dominant running the ball. Dominant offensive line. You don't say stuff like that about the 90s Cowboys. You ever notice we don't say that? Yeah, the 90s Cowboys, man, they were good enough in this. No, we don't say that stupid stuff. That's what losers say. Good enough is what you hear losers say after they lose. Nah, man, we were good enough. No, you were not good enough. Because the dominant teams, dominant teams, there is something about winning teams. You're going to say they're dominant in something. Kansas City Chiefs, they were dominant defensively last year. Kansas City Chiefs in a couple of the Super Bowls. Kansas City Chiefs, yeah, in a couple of Super Bowls. Dominant offensively. And just because you're dominant in the area don't mean you always win. But dominant. You're going to hear dominance somewhere when you start talking about championship teams. You don't say stuff like, oh, good enough. Man, good enough. If you telling me good enough, then you ain't good enough. Yep, Lane Johnson and Mulata just gobbled up Michael. Yep. Ineffective. Boomass said, just wait. So you be right at home next to us before you know it. Man, I'm telling you, I'm ready for these playoff starts. It's going to be good. Running the ball shortens the game, too. Yes, sir. Mike could have done himself some favors today, but he didn't. Don't know about blowout. Running it will slow a game. Cal was holding there on their run. The score makes the game look worse than it actually was. Yeah, I think they could have tried to do a little bit more time of possession. But one of the other issues is too, though, Mike, and I think you're probably on this side. You know, the turnovers flips games hard, man. Turnovers flip games hard, especially when you have multiples. They flip games hard on you, man. Zeke Elliott has 226 yards this season. That's crazy work, man. That is crazy work. Cooper Rush did his normal 2 touchdowns, 1 to Tolbert. Yes, sir, Willie T. Boy, I'm telling you, man. Boy, he had a connection with number 8, man. I think he was confused. It was supposed to be 88. It was number 8. Man, he was throwing the ball to old boy left and right. Our offensive line gave hosts for Dallas today, yeah. I wasn't sure if we could run the ball. They did. And I think Mike should have ran it more. Cam Keogh said, why didn't they play? Man, I'm going to tell you something. They better start Trey Lance the whole game. How you going to bring this man in with 2 minutes to go? They brought Trey Lance in with 2 minutes to go. It's just not fair, man. Ron said, blown out by backup quarterbacks. Man, not one but two. Not one but two. Booth getting cooked and Cooper Rush turnovers is what makes the game look worse than it was. Well, you know what, Mike? I also think, too, the Philadelphia Eagles, man, people do not understand. And I'm not saying you don't understand. You probably understand this. They're dominating the line of scrimmage. Against most teams, they're dominating the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line is dominant. It's not just good, it's dominant. Their defensive line, dominant. Man, they control them trenches. They give you problems. The Philadelphia Eagles give you problems, man. Howie Rosen built this team to win in the playoffs. He did. Man, tough, man. Roberts, I could have called. Roberts, I could have called a better game. And I know nothing about coaching football. Yeah, Mike sometimes try to be the smartest guy in the room. And I think he was trying to be smart again like he was against the trying to be smart again like he was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the problem is just this simple. John Wade, I think, was asking this earlier. You know what the real truth is? And I said it before, I say it again. The Eagles are better than us. And I really want us as a team. I want our day to come again. To where we're not saying stuff like, oh, Dak ain't good enough. Oh, Michael Parsons ain't good. No, see, our problem is we rely so heavy on a player or players. I want the day to when we build a team again. To when we basically play a team and we say absolutely unequivocally, we're better than that team. It ain't no if this and if that and if. No. I don't want to hear no ifs. I want us to build a team that when we line up, everybody says, uh-oh. They're better than us. And they're the ones saying if. They're the ones saying if. They're the ones saying if. We're lining up saying we're better than them. All we have to do is do what we do. Nothing more, nothing less. Games were so simple for the 90s Cowboys. People don't understand it. They didn't have to come up with elaborate plans and schemes. Nope. Hey, this week we're running Emmett to the right. Oh, we're going to run him to the left. We're going to run him up the middle. Oh, and by the way, there's nothing they can do about it. That's how good we were. And when you start looking at some of these teams, how they're currently constructed, like the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs are kind of getting back to this. The Baltimore Ravens, we're watching it, and we got to see if it comes to fruition. But these teams, they went in and got the Saquon Barkleys. They went in and got the Derrick Henrys. They went out and got like the Detroit Lions. I mean, you just named a player. They went out and got all these players. They did this stuff for a reason because they want to line up against teams. They don't want it to come down to the quarterback no more. The Ravens don't want it to come down they don't want it to come down to Lamar Jackson no more. Even the Buffalo Bills, they don't want it to come down to Josh Allen no more. Kansas City Chiefs, they don't want it to come down to Patrick Mahomes unless they absolutely have to. And the Detroit Lions, you better believe they don't want it to come down to Jared Goff. The Minnesota Vikings don't want it to come down to Sam Darnold. They want to line up in front of teams and say, we're better than them. Let's go dominate them. They're not even in our league. Let's go dominate them. That's what good teams do. That's what the dominant teams do. Dominant teams. They don't come out like teams like us having to cheerlead and psych ourselves up. All we got to do, guys, is get this one, guys. Oh, man, if we do this, this is our night. Man, let me tell you, dominant teams don't do that. Dominant teams, 1, 2, 3, dominate. You don't need a pep talk. Our pep talk is our play. I want us to get back like that, and we can. We can. Willie T said with this front office, they won't have puppet head coaches, and that's a problem. That's why I'm wondering, man, I wonder if we should throw Pete Carroll in this thing, man. I just wonder if we should throw him in. Richard said, what can you tell? He says, what you can tell is that they didn't practice to win. They practiced to play. When I listened to what Mike said before they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he said, I'm preparing to win the game. Yes, sir. It's a different mindset, isn't it, Richard? You're hitting on it. It's a different mindset. It's a different mindset. They still were triplets. Don't try to. No, it's not about them not being triplets. That's not the issue, Willie T. They were triplets. But the reality of the Dallas Cowboys, they were not. They were not driven by the triplets. That offensive line was dominant, man. I mean, dominant. It wasn't even fair with that offensive line, man. Man, Larry Allen and them boys were so... They were... And what I love about them, this is why I say they're a team. And I said this the other day, Willie T, I don't know if you was on. And the thing I liked about that team, they didn't care about all that triplet talk. They didn't care about that. That's the media talking. See, we create these narratives, but teams don't let us create those narratives. Because Troy Aikman didn't look at himself like that. He didn't. Emmett didn't look at himself like that. Mike didn't look at himself like that. That's us with that talk. Thank God social media wasn't around like it is now. And then people be reading their own press clippings. Oh, yeah, the new triplets. Oh, Michael Parsons, he's better than, he's the next LT. Stop it. That's blasphemy. Guys weren't hearing that type of crazy hype from the media. You might read that from a local paper, but you're not hearing all that crazy talk. No. The Dallas Cowboys 90s team was dominant. Period. Troy Aikman wasn't dominant. The team was dominant. Look at Troy Aikman's numbers. They're pedestrian. But the team was dominant. Michael Irvin was dominant. Isn't it strange? But you don't hear about them talking about him in the Jerry Rice conversations, the Randy Moss conversations, the plethora of yards, the plethora of receptions. You don't hear about all that stuff with Michael Irvin because he was on a dominant team. He was dominant too, but he was on a dominant team. Michael Irvin didn't require 15 passes a game. Troy Aikman didn't have to throw the ball 30 times a game. I'm telling this, I'm saying this, in a generality, but I just don't think we understand what dominant is. If you look at Troy Aikman numbers, man, I'm telling you. You look at Troy Aikman's numbers and it'll blow your mind. You're like, wait, hold on a second. This dude won 3 Super Bowls? Yeah. He was on a dominant team. He was on a dominant team. I would rather be on a dominant team than somebody running around talking about I'm carrying a team or I have to carry a team. Because what happens when I can't carry the team? There are going to be some games. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There are going to be some games where the quarterback can't carry the team. There are just going to be games like that. Period. I want to show you something about Troy Aikman. This is why they're breaking all of Troy Aikman's records. People do not understand. Troy Aikman was on a dominant team. This is why I don't get mad about Jalen Hurts the way other people, Jalen Hurts ain't this. It don't matter what he is. He's on a dominant team. And he's only asked to do what he's doing, and that's it. And he's on a dominant team. And they are a very good elite team. They're getting there. They're only getting better. I want you to look at the 92 Cowboys. I think this is the year we won a Super Bowl, right? I want you to look at Troy Aikman's numbers. Troy Aikman against the Redskins. 18-31. 216. This is Troy Aikman. 216. 1 touchdown. 2 interceptions. Troy Aikman, week 2 against the Giants. 22-35, 238. 2 touchdowns. Troy Aikman against the Cardinals. 14-21, 263. 3 touchdowns. Troy Aikman against the Eagles, 19-38, 256. 1 touchdown. That looks like what? 3 interceptions. Troy Aikman against the Seahawks, 15-23, 173. 2 interceptions. Troy Aikman against the Chiefs, 21-29, 192. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Troy Aikman against the Raiders, 16-25, 234. 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Troy Aikman again against the Eagles, 19-33, 214, 6.5, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Troy Aikman against the Lions, 16-25, 214, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Troy Aikman, 22-37, 272, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Troy Aikman, 25-36, 237, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Troy Aikman against the Giants, 19-29, 143, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Do you see these numbers? We're rolling on Cooper Rush and these Cooper Rush numbers. We're rolling on these numbers on Cooper Rush. Do you realize that this is a type of game that he's had? Broncos, 25-35, 231, 3 touchdowns. 23-35 against the Redskins, 245, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. 18-21, 239, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. How did Troy even get away with this? How did one Troy Aikman get away with this? Because he was on a dominant team. And they didn't need Troy Aikman throwing the ball all over the place. They didn't need Troy Aikman to throw the ball for 300 yards a game. They didn't even need Troy Aikman all the time to get touchdowns in a game. They didn't need Troy Aikman to do that. Why? Because Troy Aikman was on a dominant team. A dominant team. And that's what I want the Cowboys to get back to. We have got to get back to being a dominant team to where we don't need the quarterback to make all the plays. We don't even have to let it come down to the quarterback making the play. We don't need any of that. We need a dominant team. We need a dominant team that can go up and down the field, running the ball and throwing when it needs to. That's what we need again. That's what we need again. And we don't have a dominant team. And contrary to what the contrarians think, Dak Prescott has not played on a dominant team. The best team that Dak played on was his rookie season. Travis Frederick went down with that disease. It changed the face of this entire franchise. Zeke was never the same after that. The team was not the same after that. The team has not been the same. And so that's why when we talk about the triplets, we made that up. They didn't make that up. They were not walking around calling themselves the triplets and call themselves that. Who calls themselves that on a team? It's not what a team does. The media does that. The media. And this is our problem now. A lot of the things that we talk about with the Cowboys, they're made up by the media. And we walk around repeating narratives. We repeat narratives. And then when someone starts doing the research and then they start showing us where the narrative is wrong and the narrative is really built in this social media age to get the clicks, to get the likes, to get the reads, to get all of these different things, because we are also a prisoner of the social media system. And then when someone starts bringing truth, we get mad and start moving the goalpost. We just moved the goalpost. Because in actuality, we're a prisoner a lot of time of the moment. We're a prisoner of the media. But they didn't call themselves the triplets. What grown men gonna call themselves the triplets? They didn't think like that. Troy Aikman will tell you, oh, I was on a dominant team. He'll tell you that. Michael Irvin will tell you, oh, I was on a dominant team. Emmitt Smith will tell you, I was on a dominant team. And if you let Emmitt start talking, he'll start talking about that offensive line. He'll talk about Daryl Johnston. He'll talk about that defense. Boy, people do not understand. These Cowboys in the 90s were a whole different animal. Nothing like what we're doing right now. Niecy says every team in the NFL has a real GM, not the owner is the GM. Facts. Run. No horses in the stable. Yep. Willie T said back then you built the brand by winning. Now you build the brand by running your mouth. And you built the brand by building teams. A lot of those teams back then, Willie T, think about it. They built teams. San Francisco 49ers, they built teams. Think about how frustrating it is for them. Because the 49ers have actually been dominant in the Cowboys era of right now. They've been absolutely dominant. When they got Christian McCaffrey, man, they were better than every team in the NFC almost. John Fulton said, finish dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Yes. The head coach builds the team. That's it. The GM gets him players he needs. That's it. That's it. We don't build teams. I think the Minnesota Vikings coach should be in the talk of Coach of the Year. You know what? He is going to be in the talk. But the problem is, hey, man, Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell got to be up at the top, man. That guy has been with the Minnesota Vikings. Dan Campbell stepped in the door, man. New owner. What? I'm thinking he got a new GM. New GM, new owner, new coach. Total rebuild of the team. Dan Quinn stepped in the door, man, winning. Hard to beat that, man. Yep, Willie T, I already know what you're saying. Every team gives us their best shot. I already talked about that. Every team gives us their best shot. Ron said, who did the Cowboys develop this year? Our teams develop in the fire. They don't develop behind players. They develop in the fire. Dominique says, it's funny how Dak Delusional and the other dude are nowhere to be seen today. Man, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Green Bay is still doing it as far as developing players. Postboy says it should be the players trying to establish a legacy in the league. But what I know, you know what? And they should. And if they understood they build legacies together, they'd be better. But we got guys on this team, Postboy, they're still trying to build. They're trying to do the legacies on their own. Ross said this defense could win a defensive. They could win a college national title. Lamar sat for a year. Willie T. Yeah, and so did Patrick Mahomes. And I think that Patrick Mahomes really had it good because Alex Smith, man, when you hear Patrick Mahomes talk about Alex Smith, oh, man. Man, you just got to love Alex Smith. He knew Patrick Mahomes was taking the spot and trained him to do it. Said he knew it. Patrick Mahomes said he didn't withhold nothing from him. Unlike Brett Favre with Aaron Rodgers. Unlike Tom Brady when it came to Jimmy Garoppolo. C.J. Stroud, that's it. C.J. Stroud may hit that. Yeah, he's hit that sophomore slump. Hey, Janie, what's going on? Yeah, he's hit that sophomore slump. That's what's going on with him, for sure. Super Status said, I don't understand why McCarthy always finds a way to go away from what was originally working for him. I'm telling you, man, this man has the West Coast offense ingrained in his head. Gee, I'm tired of everybody speaking on Patrick Mahomes and how great he is. Without Andy Reid, he's nothing. I keep saying it, Richard. You build teams from the top down. You build them from the top down. And the best thing that happened to Patrick Mahomes is going to the Kansas City Chiefs. That joker would have went to if he'd have went to the Chicago Bears, we wouldn't be talking about Patrick Mahomes. We wouldn't. Ron said 7 points won't win you many games either. I keep saying it, Ron. How you win them is how you lose them. If you're going to win close games, you're going to lose close games. When do you come out and start saying that I'm dominant and we just dominate teams? You think about Michael Jordan. This is why, for me, Michael Jordan is always the GOAT. Michael Jordan didn't take teams to game sevens. Michael Jordan don't even know what that look like. Michael Jordan don't know what game sevens look like. He didn't believe in game sevens. Michael Jordan wasn't giving teams the opportunity to take him to game sevens. Nah, we're going to win this in 6. He didn't believe in game 7s. You go out and dominate teams, man. You don't play around. You dominate teams. Superstar says he also has to stop having rush to be something that he's not. That's what I said earlier. He's a play-action, game-managing quarterback, not a gunslinger. The game plan today was for Dak, not Cooper Rush. It was not for Cooper Rush. It was a terrible move by Mike McCarthy. I think the reason we don't develop quarterbacks anymore is also due to the jersey sales. Yep. I mean, we chew them up and we chew them up and spit them out now. We do. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and 8 penalties. You ain't winning like that. The Chiefs are 15-1 again. Yep. But you know what's crazy though, Ron? You think about it. This doggone NFC is crazy though. You got to love the NFC. When you look at the playoffs, the Chiefs are 15-1. The next closest team is 13-3. And then after that, they fall off a cliff. 11 wins. Boy, when you look at this NFC, man, it's crazy work. It's crazy work. 14-2, 13-3, 13-2. I mean, 3 teams have the potential to win 14 games. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. And all 3 of these top teams, they're good. But I think the Eagles are going to be a problem. It would behoove everybody to make sure that the Eagles don't get the home field advantage. They get you down in that cold, man, the Eagles are going to be hard to stop. They're going to be hard to stop. But we're going to see how it turn out here in the next week. I'm excited again for the next Cowboys game because I really want to see if the Cowboys are going to play Trey Lance, because I just don't understand from this point forward, what is the point? What is the point of Cooper Rush starting again? I don't get it. Campio says you don't want an old head coach with a defensive mentality. Yeah, that is that is Pete Carroll's specialty. The issue is could Jerry bring in the offensive coordinator that could get him? Could he get could he get an OC that would be so offensively minded? Because you come to this Cowboys team, it's different. Jerry don't let you pick your coordinators typically. Those are 2 separate things. Kellen Moore will be back in Dallas as the head coach. You know, Willie T, we're going to talk about this as the season ends. But I guess at the end of the day, I mean, who would you rather have, Kellen Moore, or would you rather have current Kellen Moore or Mike McCarthy? Nisa said Pete Carroll would be good. Will Kellen Moore be another Jason Garrett? Yeah, that's going to be another issue. The real fence is because Dak, no. As long as we keep talking like that, we're not going to win, man. That's the talk that all these other teams have gotten away from. Because it's the same thing you can say about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson couldn't get it done. So guess what they did? They went and got Derrick Henry. Jalen Hurts couldn't get it done. Guess what they did? The best move, Howie Rosen may be GM of the year. He may actually get GM of the year for the Saquon Barkley move, because everybody else could have made it too. There was nothing stopping everybody else from making the Saquon Barkley move. He did it. He may get the GM of the year. We do too much of this talking. We do too much of this talking about what our quarterback is not. All these other teams are not talking about what their quarterback is not. They're not. And their quarterback is not all that. Sam Darnold ain't all that. Sam Darnold got a plethora of weapons. He's got a great coach, great GM, great owner. That's what Sam Darnold is. We're going to see how he fares down the line. Same thing with Jared Goff. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. Watch this. Let me show you how I know, real fan, I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand what you're saying. Make the argument for these quarterbacks being top 5. Make the argument, because you can't. You can't make the argument that Sam Darnold is top 5 on another team. But I can argue that he's not top 5 because I've seen him on other teams. Your argument falls to pieces. Jalen Hurts. Would anybody say Jalen Hurts is top 5? Because nobody is calling Jalen Hurts top 5. I like Jalen Hurts. He's a great quarterback to me. But nobody's calling Jalen Hurts top 5. The arguments you see around Jalen Hurts are similar to Dak Prescott. Y'all tell me, is Jared Goff top 5? No one's making that argument. Many won't even make the argument he's top 10. They'll tell you he's top 15. Jordan Love. Ain't nobody telling you Jordan Love is top 5. Nobody. Isn't it strange? 1, 2, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 5, and 6. We're the only team still walking around blaming our quarterback. And the other teams are saying, we're going to take some of this stuff off the quarterback's plate. We don't want the game to come down to the quarterback anymore. We're going to take some of this stuff off their plate, offensively and defensively. We're the only team not doing this. Our fan base is still talking about the quarterback when the argument, and I don't even think it's an argument. Y'all can tell me anything you want to. Dak Prescott is better than Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold. Dak Prescott is better than all 3 of them. All 4 of them. Dak Prescott's better. You know the difference? Their teams are better. The GMs are better. The owners are better. The head coaches are better. The OC, the DCs are better than all of those positions on our team. All of them. All of them. Tell me which one of these play callers. Tell me which one of these play callers Mike McCarthy is better than. Tell me which one. Tell me which one of those play callers right here. Tell me which one of these play callers he's better than. Tell me. Tell me which one of these teams that Rico Dowdle is a better running back than the running backs they have. Tell me which one of these teams. Tell me which one. These teams are better teams than we are. We have a better quarterback. They have better teams. We make arguments and we don't understand they're actually not arguments, they're opinions. I'm just speaking facts. There is no statistical category that tells us those quarterbacks are better than Dak Prescott. Not a one. Because not a one of those quarterbacks has reached what Dak did last season. Which one of these quarterbacks has amassed 3 12-win seasons? 3 12-win seasons in a row. Which one of these quarterbacks has done that? Our problem is we just put too much on the doggone quarterback. That's our problem. We want him to be something that he's not. Until we stop that, we're never going to win. John Fulton, can Moore be the leader of grown men? Problem is with Moore, he's younger than all the men he'll have to lead. Cam Keogh said Pete Carroll is no puppet. Jerry Jones will never hire Pete as head coach. Yeah, I think that part too. Tangela Johnson, what's going on? Dak owns Philly, but Philly owns Cooper Rush. No doubt. No doubt. Jerry hiring Kellen as the head coach. The Jerry will keep the defensive staff and replace Bones as a special team coach. I also think, man, I think there's some tea leaves about Mike Zimmer. I'm not sure Mike Zimmer wants to return as a coach. I don't think he wants to return. And I think they may be promoting Al Harris as a defensive coordinator. Yep, we need a coach with a spine for sure. Yeah, 4 turnovers is insane to me. Cooper is now 0-3 versus the Eagles. This man just can't beat the Eagles. And he can't beat good teams. He can't beat the really good teams, the complete teams. We've seen Dak beat these complete teams. We have. We've seen Dak and this team do it. Yeah, Jerry is selling Mike McCarthy. Man, this thing is crazy he has going on with Mike McCarthy. And it really does have me wondering if he's doing all of this because he's not going to sign Mike McCarthy, but he wants him to still get a job. Janie said the Eagles had 2 quarterbacks showcasing the game. Dallas just had Cooper Rush, but Trey Lance was there as well. He really didn't play. Janie, I still don't understand Cooper Rush coming in the last 2 minutes. Big Pat 56, Brian Flores will be a great coach. Man, let me tell you something, Big Pat. Brian Flores will probably never be a head coach in this league again. I like Brian Flores as a coach. But what this man was doing to Tua Tagovailoa was criminal. It was literally criminal. The way he treated this man was criminal. The stuff he was saying about this man was criminal. And he is guilty of some things that he's accused the NFL of. Brian Flores, I doubt he will ever be a head coach in this league again. Yep, the Eagles are loaded. That's why I'm telling us, D-Block. They have a better team than us. We literally have a better quarterback than the 1, 2, 4. We have a better quarterback than the 1, 2, 5, and 6 seed in the NFC. We have a better quarterback. And they have a better team. They have a better team. I don't understand why it's so hard to understand about that. They have a better team. Roberto said if Michael stopped talking so much and play, that's his problem. He talks so much, and then when his play don't live up, it's a wrap. It is. Our first 2 12-5 seasons were better than the Eagles are now. Personnel-wise, oh, man, this team, I don't think so. I had to go back and look. I just don't remember us. I don't remember any of those 12-win seasons to where we were literally this dominant to where we're this dominant. I think player for player. I'm going to go back and look at that in the offseason. Player for player, no, these Eagles are loaded, man. These Eagles are loaded. Loaded. Because I just say based on this principle alone, what running back in those first 2 12-5 seasons, what running back do we have the equivalent of Saquon Barkley? Zeke in his rookie campaign, he ain't doing what Saquon Barkley doing. What Saquon Barkley is doing right now is insane. And the offensive line he's running behind is insane. The defense they have, the safeties they have, I don't remember us being that complete. Philly complete, man. Philly is complete. They really are. Jay Recruiter, defense was not great. I agree. I'm telling you, I just don't think we've had a team like this in those 12-win seasons. I still say Dak's rookie season, it was the best team that Dak had. That's the best team we've had to me. That team, I can't remember the defense as much, but that offense, it was loaded. And I won't say loaded. Let me be careful with saying loaded. That team was good. But even then, going up against the Green Bay Packers, I thought we had a chance at beating them, but I never thought we were so dominant that we were going to beat them like that. Robert Nisi says Michael needs to be linebacker. Nisi, if Michael Parsons would just do that, what if he just went 50-50? Just 50-50. Well, Willie T, we've actually done this twice. Because in actuality, what Jerry should have did with the 2023 season, Jerry should have ran the 2023 season back. I think Jerry should have tried to run that season. Jerry should have ran that team back. Overshown would have been here. Sam Williams would have been back healthy. And then you could have addressed and got you another couple of linebackers in the draft. I'm even talking about down to Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle together this year would have been crazy. They would have been crazy. They could have addressed the wide receiver spot in the draft. This team from last year was basically, to me, about 2 to 3 pieces away from being a dominant team. I mean dominant. Dominant team. Jerry blew it up. Craziest thing I've ever seen. Jared, yep, the Cowboys haven't been able to stop the run in years. Even with those 12-win seasons, they couldn't stop the run. What elite defense historically has been awful against the run? You're right. You're right on it. You're right on it with that. The team was not built for Dak. I said the same thing. That was Romo's team. That's why that team was so good. They were gonna let that team be Romo's swan song, and then Romo got hurt. I also didn't realize how old Romo was at the time. Man, Romo was up there, man. Robert said Jerry actually negotiated the initial. Yep. The architect of the salary cap now can't work it. Willie T said, you have to realize Jimmy first lost in the playoffs to the Lions. He knew he needed more, so he went out and got Charles Haley. Herschel Walker trade didn't hurt either. Yes, sir. Jimmy built teams. He did. Jared says, instead of whining about Dak Prescott can't do, why not help the quarterback yearly to where you can help get it done? That's what the other teams are doing. We're the only ones that's got this crazy mentality. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. Even Trent Dilfer had a team around him. Trent Dilfer had a team. Yep. Dak battling everything. And have you noticed, teams aren't doing this no more. We're the only ones doing it. These other teams are saying, man, we're not going to put this all on the quarterback. We're going to go get this quarterback some players. Yes, sir, D Block, man. You know we just got to speak them facts, man. It just is what it is. The Joneses are involved for this team to win in spite of the Joneses. Yep. By making adjustments in real time. Roberto said, baby, Mike had some eye problems. Yeah, he do got some eye problems. Not E-Y-E. He got the eye problem. Have you mentioned Joe Burrow today? Hey, man, let me tell you something. This MVP race is going to be exciting. Joe Burrow is going to win the MVP if Joe Burrow gets to 9 wins. If Joe Burrow gets to 9 wins, I think he wins it. But with a caveat. If Saquon Barkley beats Eric Dickerson's record, I will not be surprised they give it to him. I will not be surprised if they give it to him. I will not. Gee, why is Mike McCarthy sending Brandon Arbor to kick a 61-yard field goal with ball at midfield in the fourth quarter? Man, boy, man, I don't know, man. I can't. Mike a different character, man. Robert said, in my opinion, but Dallas will ultimately be successful again until Jerry gives up being GM. Watch this, though. You know what I think, though, Robert? I think this team is going to win in spite of him. I do. I think he's going to win in spite of him. Willie T said, this is what Jim did in the second Super Bowl. He said Troy was not on his game and put the game on him in the defense. That's it. That's what you want. Dak Prescott escaping the rush. Are you kidding me? Dak could until this past year. He couldn't do it. If Mike is not the coach next year, I think Kellen Moore, boy, wonder for Jerry. Yeah. I think they're going to put Jason Witten on the squad and then let Jason Whitney eventually be it in the next couple of years. Kellen is going to be the next head coach. Today was his audition for Daddy John. Hey, man, I ain't going to be surprised. Alex said, did you notice how Eagles were taking pictures with Jerry, telling him he's doing good? Telling me he's doing a good job. Man, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. This team is overrated all around. When you can't run or stop the run, you end up losing most games. Yes, you right on it, Ed. G, we ain't got that. Yeah. Dak is forced to run plays that are not in his strength, but because GM wants these plays, that taught too. Yep, Alex, I saw that before. I didn't see that, boy. That's crazy. Booth was food out there, boy. Man, Kellen Moore went after him, didn't he, D-Block? Willie T said G fighting Booth was not hard. We all knew that I was saying when I thought it was going to be a money plan. Man, I give Kellen Moore credit. That's what you do, man. You find the weakness of a team and destroy it. That's what you do. D-Rail said Kellen's always been a system over player type of offensive coordinator. His philosophy was always to find the open player instead of the star player. And I think that's what Dak needs again and to go back to. Because I'm telling y'all, if CeeDee Lamb is going to continue to be the only receiver on this team, we're never going to win. Janie said, I always wonder why they were just doing 12-5 for the season. I mean, Janie, no one's asked. Why were we never 13? 13-4, 13-3, 14-3, 14-2. Because we were not dominant. Yes, I'm talking about culture. Yes, Brady always said that the Patriots' way of doing things. Yep, I'm talking about culture. And the Cowboys had culture under Jimmy Johnson. He built it. Because Jimmy was fresh out of the college game. And one thing the college game has is a lot of culture. I mean, they follow their coaches on these college teams. They do. And Jimmy had that atmosphere. The 70s fans, since 2004, G, there hasn't been a back-to-back NFC East champion. Crazy. And I don't think there will be again. I would not be surprised if the Cowboys are back in it again. I bet the Eagles don't care they beat us without Dak. Especially today. They have Jalen Hurts. They don't care. Hey, right now, the Eagles are in number 1 seed mode. Get Burden and Scatterbo. Yeah, we're going to talk about the draft after this next game. Ganless said, I hope you're right. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I think they're going to go get some players next year. Woo, T. Higgins. Man, T. Higgins is a Dak Prescott type of receiver. G got jokes. They're going to do something for. Hey, man, I'm telling you, I believe it's going to happen. D Block, I think it's going to happen, man. This Netflix thing happening next year. I'm telling you, man, Mim 10, please don't say Stephon Diggs. I'd love to have Chase Young, though. Not Stephon Diggs. I don't want another guy coming off an injury. Roberto said, maybe we can rebuild Jerry. It follows a lot of wishful thinking. I think it's going to happen. I do. Yeah, Freddie, I think if Mike isn't here next year, Freddie, I'm not going to be surprised if it be Mike's choice. Mike is going to have options to be the head coach somewhere and be the play caller. What's going on, my brother from El Paso? Yes, sir, Freddie. Willie T said if Jerry didn't screw it up, we could have had 5 Super Bowls in the 90s. No doubt. No doubt. We would have been the Patriots of the 90s. We'd have kept winning. Diggs and his brother in Dallas would be a huge problem. Yeah, I'm with you, too. Man, could you imagine Stephon, Trayvon, and Micah Parsons together talking about that? Oh, no, we don't need it. D-Rail said, truth be told, if you were actually good enough, you would have won. Facts. Facts. Gabe said Micah didn't stand a chance against those who win Tower because he didn't. He didn't. He doesn't need to be playing. He doesn't need to be playing basketball or be NBA weekend next year. That's it. He does too much stuff not involving football. Our offensive line is pretty good, yeah, and I think they can perfect it in the free agency. He said, I guess we saw today from Mike's play calling was him doing. Didn't Bobby Belt say that? I thought Bobby Belt was going crazy. Now I'm believing him. Yep, Mike, you have lost the fan base. He going out like Frank Sinatra. Now we can put Cooper is better than Dak to rest. Yes, sir. I hope it finally goes away. G, are you those teams don't want all-in-one player and go get them some help? Okay, wait. Rewind that. Let's see. Yes, sir. Mr. G, you're making so many points. Why Mike McCarthy is not the right coach. He himself is a liability. Yep. He is. He's a liability. He doesn't change things on the field. The Great Wall of Dallas. I got the book. Yes. Yes. Why would Kellen Moore want to be head coach of this team? Because he want to be a head coach. That's why. He want to be a head coach, man. He does. All right, y'all. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to go see if I can catch the end of this game. And then if I'm feeling up to it tonight, for all of you who may be up, what's going on, Brandy? I may be back for the late show. And I hear a lot of people like the late show. So, all right, guys. Appreciate y'all being on. Until the next time. Maybe be tonight, but for sure it'll be tomorrow. Let's talk Cowboys. We talk facts. Peace.